A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and let me welcome all of you who are here today at this acclaimed event with our traditional welcome, Ayubovan. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Strategic Forum for the year 2022, organized by the Master of Professional Accounting degree program of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. So, on behalf of the organizing committee, this welcoming greeting goes to all of you who are here today. So, as you all are aware, as it was pre-communicated, the theme of this strategic forum today is winning strategies for getting ahead of the crisis. Of course, not a new topic, not a fresh topic, but still, this is a timely topic that we as Sri Lankans, as well as citizens of the globe, should be aware of and should be paying our attention to. The reason why I say this is a timely topic is that this is not only a topic that the accounting fraternity, the accounting community of Sri Lanka should be concerned of, but as I mentioned before, this is a topic that the world together should be taking their attention towards too. And also, it's not a hidden secret anymore that Sri Lanka and the world as well, due to several known reasons as well as unknown reasons, face this particular crisis, mainly economically, but I believe this crisis also goes politically as well as socially as well. And whatever the strategies that get implemented, that get planned, should be, of course, victorious. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us together talk about this particular topic, this particular title throughout the session. And while welcoming all of the dignitaries, the speakers of today's program, without further ado, let me invite the people, the respected individuals, to light up the oil lamp marking the commencement of today's program. I consider it my privilege in inviting Mr. Cholia De Silva, Mr. Chamath Siriwardana, Mr. Nishant Kalwarachi, and Ms. Imesha Sanjeevani, who are here today as speakers of this strategic forum, to come and light the oil lamp. And also, I would like to invite the moderator of today's program, Dr. Chamara Bandara, to come and light the oil lamp. Also, this invitation goes to Senior Professor Kennedy Gunawardena, the head of the Department of Accounting of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Professor Roshan Ajwad, the coordinator of Master of Professional Accounting Program, Professor Rukmal Veerasinghe, the senior lecturer from the Department of Entrepreneurship of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Ms. Kalhari Pereira, representing the non-academic staff, and also I would like to invite Mr. Lahiru Udyanga, representing the master's batch, who has been taking the burden of organizing this particular session. So I invite all the dignitaries to come here and light up the oil lamp, and invite all the others to rise from your seats to mark the official commencement of this program. Thank you very much to all the dignitaries, and thank you to all of you as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have officially and ceremonially begun today's program. And let me remind you again the speakers that we have for the day. We have Mr. Sholiya De Silva, Mr. Shamath Sirivardhana, Mr. Nishant Kalwarachi, and Ms. Imesha Sanjeevani as speakers of today's forum. And today, they will be talking about the winning strategies for getting ahead of the crisis. As I mentioned before, it is a topic that we as a community, as a country, and the citizens of the world should be taking our attention to. And let's talk about this particular topic throughout the day. Of course, we have some presentations coming in, and also the panel discussion is also all scheduled to have placed in the agenda as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will now move to the University Anthem of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. So I invite all of you to pay our tribute to our alma mater, University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, by singing the University Anthem together as one. Since the team is facing a little technical error when it comes to, yes, technology has no sense. So of course, we'll stay a little while. Of course, the University Anthem will be played in a while and we'll sing it all together. Just remain standing.
Magul samidun Deli nitiye sorat banu සභාමෙත සමාජශීලී වියතුන් නීදය ඔබ යව් ශ්‍රී ලංකා පින්බර රන්දෙරණි ශ්‍රීනිවාස වූ මහා අගනගරේ ශ්‍රී ජයවර්ධනපුර සරසවියේ ශ්‍රී නාමය රඳවම් දෝමුදුනි විද්‍යා උපතතං සෙත්තා විද්‍යා උපතතං සෙත්තා විද්‍යා උපතතං සෙත්තා.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And we beg your pardon for the small technical error, and we are really sorry if any inconvenience happened. Yes, it was a crisis, and we need to find winning strategies for that, and we did it in style. So, ladies and gentlemen, all is set for the official commencement of today's strategic forum. The theme, winning strategies for getting ahead of the crisis. So, without taking any more time, let me invite Ms. Buddhini Henanaika to deliver the welcome address, welcoming all the invitees, dignitaries, and the speakers, as well as the participants of today's program. Ms. Buddhini, this invitation goes to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome all of you for the Strategic Forum 2022. A Strategic Forum is an annual event which is a part of the course of business strategy, and we, the students of the 7th batch of the Master of Professional Accounting, are presenting today winning strategies for getting ahead of the crisis. Here, a very warm welcome to the respected lecturers of the MPAcc program, especially Senior Professor Kennedy Gunawardena, the Head of Department of Accounting, Professor Roshan Ajwar, the Coordinator of the Master of Professional Accounting Degree Program, Professor Rukmal Veerasinghe, Subject Coordinator of Business Strategy, and all other lecturers who are presenting here today. At the same time, a very special welcome to our guest speakers today, Mr. Cholia de Silva, Group Chief Financial Officer and Group Head of Sustainability of Helis Group, Mr. Nishanta Kaluarachi, Chief Financial Officer of Hydramani Industries Private Limited, Ms. Imesha Sanjeevani, Head of Finance of Deutsche Bank Limited, Mr. Chamath Sirivardhana, Senior Manager at KPMG Cayman Islands, Dr. Chamara Bandara, Founder, SCB Corporate. And also, I'm so grateful to welcome our undergraduates of the Department of Accounting. Also warmly welcome the live audience who joined this event on Facebook, and finally, all my colleagues of the MPAcc program. At the very first lecture of business strategy, Professor Rukmal Veerasinghe explained us the objective of the annual strategic forum. Whatever the theories we study within the lecture, the practical insights are giving more meaningful understandings. When an organization is deciding the strategy, the environmental factors are playing a major role. In the context of present Sri Lankan economy, we are facing a very challenging period we have never experienced before. Impact of the COVID-19 and the unsustainable debt and severe balance of payment crisis, which is having the negative impact of the growth of the economy. The significant uncertainty and hyperinflation situation in the economy has badly impacted to all business in Sri Lanka. However, we have noted there are organizations who have taken the situation positively and moving forward with strategy changes. Our guest speakers today will share with us their own experiences and the strategic thinking they have developed to find the winning path during the crisis. Now it's time to move to the next item and go ahead with the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Buddhini Henanayaka. That was the welcome address. And ladies and gentlemen, as she mentioned, now we are going to move ahead with the agenda of the program. But first, let me introduce one great pillar of strength behind all these efforts taken by the Department of Accounting of University of Sri Jayawardenepura. So, let me invite Senior Professor Kennedy Gunawardena to address you all at the gathering with his opinions, with his ideas and insights of this program as well. So, Senior Professor Kennedy Gunawardena, the Head of Department of Accounting of University of Sri Jayawardenepura, this invitation goes to you.
Sorry. Good morning. Dear professors, dear senior lecturers and lecturers, especially Professor Rukmal, who is in charge of the subject, and the coordinator, Professor Ajwad, and our dear distinguished guests, speakers, panelists, and postgraduate students, and our undergraduate students. This is a good forum. I think we know that what is happening today in our country. The present situation is, some people say, this is a man-made crisis, or it can be a kind of automatic crisis. I don't know which one is right. Sometimes I just feel in that this is a kind of a man-made crisis. But the crisis is common, not just this is not only the first time in Sri Lankans we are facing to the crisis. In 1950s, 70s, 80s, and year 2000, and right now we are coming to the 2022. The crises are very common, but we have a kind of a strategies to come up with the crisis. But in this particular crisis is a really unique, because our management, or maybe our kind of a mechanism, what we are facing today, they also in a inefficient manner, or what they do, all the activities what they do is really inefficient today. The money printing is, it's like trillions and trillions every time. It still is printing, I feel like that. And the inflation is unbearable. That is go to the hyperinflation. But in United Kingdom also have a inflation. I think they also have more than 10% right now. This is very common, but our one is unbelievable today. Not only that, and the political instability also, you can't find out the political stability right now. It's also changing day by day. And resources we have, but we are not maximizing those resources. Anyway, under this situation, looking for a new ways and means to do the things is not so easy. Not so easy. I think our experts should have a kind of ideas to come up this situation. But in my particular feeling, go back to the 2019, that's kind of a good, rather than go to the in future. In 2023 is a further crisis or a further severe issues we are going to face. The one aspect is the money printing. Second aspect is we can't find out the clear vision, clear mission. There is no such a clear way to go ahead. Those things are the kind of issues. Everything now, you remember the yesterday newspaper, I suppose that you have read that. In Thailand, got in a day, in Bangkok airport, in Swarnabhumi airport, they got over 1 million tourists. Over 1 million tourists per day arrival. Can you imagine the numbers, 1 million? If a one tourist spending $10, that is 10 million. If they spending $1,000, now you can imagine the dollars, the amount, the foreign reserves increasing in their country. What happened to us? And our numbers are smaller, but it is moving, I feel like that. But that is not a best solution to solve the present crisis. That is the one hand. We need a flexibility. Sometimes we can't go together, like politics, religion, economy. That is what I remember that 2 days back, Ravi Edirisinghe, he has mentioned that in Times, Business Times, he said that we are lacking with financial literacy. We are lacking with economic literacy. That is true. In Sri Lankans like that, we are lacking with that part, the financial literacy. That is one of the main issues we are facing today. I think our University of Sri Jayanthapura, our graduates, passed out graduates, especially we have created the best CEOs in our country. Namely, I can say Dialogue CEO, Supun Veerasinghe, one of our students in our department, alumni, one of the greatest person we have created. And the Dankutua Porcelain, Channa Gunawardana, you all know they are our products. And here also we have our products. Our CFOs are here. We are so happy to see them. And even that international level, you know that SIMA chairman international level, Melanie, she's also in our graduate, right? 1 year junior to me in our university, right, Jayanthapura. We have a fantastic human resources. But the government or a country, do they use them for a proper manner? That is a question mark. But one thing I want to tell you, our people, that means our students who passed out from the University of Sri Jayanthapura, even though management or a science or whatever, we have a management flavor. Even faculty of medical studies, also I teach management, we are giving to the management flavor to them. The medical doctors, what they need, management, but really they need it. Now, we have that all our undergraduates and graduates, they have a very good management flavor. They can solve these issues, but the only thing is lack of opportunities. They have a different philosophies mostly, and they are not in the political system also in the properly, and therefore people, in the top rankers, they are not getting them, they are not using our graduates to go up in the ladder. That also one of the weaknesses what I see. Anyway, at last, I'm not going to talk to you more. It's just like a small session. We have to listen to the expertise because they are the particular field. They are in the really involving with that. I'm in the education field right now. Say this is accounting degree. I'm the head of department of accounting. The accountants are playing a big role in the country, in financial sector, in a management sector, everywhere. In one small case study I want to tell you, this is especially for the undergraduates motivation purpose. The University of Yale, they are in the number 3 in the world list in the USA. One professor mentioned that in the Bata is one of the multinational companies. The Bata needed to enhance their businesses in African countries. This is in 1950s. 1950s, they want to improve the big market in Africa. In 1950s, most of the Africans, they don't wear the shoes and slippers. Then first, that professor, he mentioned to that, he sent one of the Yale University, those days marketing managers are not there, the marketing management is not very popular, sales management, 1950s sales management. One of the graduates who completed from the sales management, sales aspects, Mr. Bata sent the one person, sales manager, to the Africa, do a small survey and come back. Then what happened, the sales manager, he went and saw that nobody wearing a shoes, slippers and all. He said, we have a tremendous market here. The Mr. Bata, you go and sell whatever the shoes, slippers in Africa, very quickly you can get big market. And that is the report he said. Then Mr. Bata said, yes, very good. Nice, your idea is very good. Then send the professional accountants, in 1950s, 60s, 70s, in our country also. One of the oldest profession is accounting. In the world also, in the history also like that. Before economics, accounting and auditing there. Then the accountant went there and see that, in Africa is a very nice country, having a fruits, vegetables also. He had got two ideas, because accountants are thinking always too thin, debit, credit. We can sell the shoes and slippers also in Africa, and in the same ship we can bring some fruits and vegetables also to the Europe, and we can do two things. That is what professional accountant mentioned. Then the graduate, very newly passed out graduate, accounting graduates, those days very new for the Yale University, the new graduates sent, accounting graduates like you, most of them are undergraduates, are accounting graduates. He went there and did some small survey and come back, say, Mr. Bata, if you want to sell the shoes and slippers in Africa, you have to start the school first. You have to invest more money to start a school first. Otherwise, you can't sell. Then Bata said, what nonsense you are talking, right? The first sales manager said, so many ships we can sell the shoes, because nobody wearing shoes there. And then other person, accountant, professional accountant said, okay, you can sell shoes, and you in order to other way, you can get some fruits and the vegetables also we can sell here. But you are telling investment. Yes. First, we have to teach the importance of the health, why we want to wear the shoes, and what is the importance of the wearing of shoes and slippers. First, we need a school, and we have to educate them. Then we have a forever market. That's the thinking for the undergraduates. My dear undergraduates, most of them are here. Please think about, rather than just you look at something, it's not a correct view. You have to think about some more and different manner, and maybe you can get survival. Thank you for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The senior professor, Kennedy Gunawardena, the head of Department of Accounting of University of Sri Jayawardenepura. So what I remembered when he was delivering his speech was, I'm a product of the Department of Marketing Management of University of Sri Jayawardenepura. And one day, Professor Neville, Varnakula Surya, said the same story as, yes, you can have conflicts between the accounting department, the finance department, and the marketing department, but still you have to work in cooperatively to get your sales objectives, whatever the objectives, the organizational objectives achieved. So this reminded me of his speech as well. So thank you very much, the senior professor Kennedy Gunawardena, for the insightful speech. And ladies and gentlemen, let us move to the first presentation of the day. Before inviting this resource personnel, let me read out his bio to you, the profile to you. So the first resource personnel at the Strategic Forum for the year 2022 is Mr. Cholia De Silva, the CFO of Haley's Group. Currently, Mr. Cholia De Silva is the Group Chief Financial Officer and Group Head of Sustainability of Haley's PLC, and is a senior finance professional possessing over 35 years of experience in the multinational FMCG, investment banking, and real estate sectors. He is the former finance director of Coca-Cola Beverages Sri Lanka Limited and holds a varied and multifaceted international working experience in New Zealand, India, Nepal, Ethiopia, South Africa, and the United Arab Emirates. He was a governing council member of the Association of Accounting Technicians of Sri Lanka, AAT Sri Lanka, from 2016 to 2019 and held the chairmanship of various committees. Experience includes 14 years at Nestle Lanka PLC and 9 years at Coca-Cola Beverages Sri Lanka. Mr. De Silva is a fellow member of CA Sri Lanka, a fellow member of Chartered Institute of Management Accountants UK, and a fellow member of the Institute of Certified Practicing Accountants of Australia. He also holds an MBA from the Postgraduate Institute of Management of University of Sri Jayawardenepura. So ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Mr. Cholia De Silva for the first presentation of this strategic forum. Mr. Cholia De Silva, this invitation goes to you, and let us welcome him with a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Good morning to all. First, some technicalities. Let's see whether this thing works. Normally, these things don't work sometimes. Right, it works. I'm not sure whether it's very legible, the screen. I'll try to read out. My time, give me a second, I'll set my time, so 15 minutes I don't overshoot. Right. So, little bit about Hales. A lot of you might be knowing, but in case if you don't know that much about Hales, Hales is Sri Lanka's largest and most diversified conglomerate. So we have 16 business verticals and more than 145 companies. Of these 145 companies, 16 are listed entities. We have been in business for 144 years, and this is very important. We bring in more than $600 million to Sri Lanka every year. Can I use this also? Okay. And this is 4.2% of Sri Lanka's export income. So as a single entity, we cover 4.2% of Sri Lanka's export revenue. We are in 5 continents, 86 countries, and we have more than 31,000 employees. And also we have won multiple awards, 8 times ranked as #1 corporate in Sri Lanka, and best corporate citizen 5 times by Ceylon Chamber of Commerce. Little bit, you all are accountants, so a little bit about numbers. Last year we achieved 338 billion revenue. Now, remember, this is during crisis, right? During crisis, we achieved 338 billion revenue, which is 40% up versus a non-crisis year. So what is important is more than the number, the percentage increase, right? And our EBITDA is 42 billion, which is 27% up. Profit before tax is 36 billion, which is again 86% up. And profit after tax, 28 billion, 100% up. And our total assets, again, 403 billion rupees, 44% up. I don't know how do you follow the stock exchange. If you have seen yesterday or day before yesterday's quarterly release, first 6 months, our profit before tax, now this is for full year, first 6 months, it's 30 billion rupees, which is 180% up versus the last year, which was only 10 billion rupees. So that is a little bit about Hales. If you are interested, you can scan, there's a QR code, or you can go to CSC website and download our annual report and have a look, which will be interesting. I told you about the 16 sectors. So a little bit more about Haley's. We supply 5% of global demand for household and industrial gloves. That's dip products. We are the leader in global, in the world for coconut shell-based activated carbon, number one. We are the Sri Lanka's largest exporter of processed fruits and vegetables. So if you eat a McDonald's burger or Burger King burger anywhere in Southeast Asia, you will most probably be eating one of our gherkins exported by us. We are the leader in transportation and logistics advantage. We have the largest bunkering facility and largest sea-going ships. We have more than 25 ships. And we manage all the ports' tug facilities. And we are the world's most awarded sustainable plantations, producing 3.6% of and 4.3% of Sri Lanka's tea and rubber production. Also, we are Sri Lanka's largest aluminium extrusion producer, Alumix, and we are the Sri Lanka's largest manufacturer of supply of consumer durables, that's Singer, with more than 430 outlets. So why I'm telling you this is, not to boost about Haley's, if you are in business, you have to be in the top, either one or first or second. Otherwise, you are just follower, you will not be able to perform. Our topic, I'm coming back to our topic is crisis, how do we manage, how do we survive? So generally what will happen is, in a crisis, you try to survive. Everybody tries to survive in a crisis, because that's the first reaction. How do we bounce back to our original position? But what I'm saying is, you should not only survive, you should thrive in a crisis. So we have thrived. You saw it from the numbers. So little bit of what we did, strategy. It's not rocket science. We were very proactive. We thought in advance of the crisis. We anticipated what's going to happen. And we were prompt. We were the first to take some actions. And we had a super network. We engaged people, mainly our employees, right? And we had some task forces to look after certain aspects of the business. So the task forces I've just listed down here. We had a COVID-19 task force. We had a freight management task force. We had a smart task force, which is looking at the cost elements of the organization. And we looked at the interest rates and how the financials are behaving. Few of these, I've broken the crisis into two, pandemic and economic. So I'm first going to cover about the pandemic part. So if you look at few of the issues that we had, business could not be continued as usual. We could not supply goods because of the lockdown and various other things. Employees were scared, they were getting sick. Then consumer behavior was shifting and the demand slowed down in certain luxury goods and certain products. There was a food security issue. People were scared about food security. Then the commodity prices were volatile. Tourism didn't happen. So this is few things which could be highlighted as part of the issues, crisis issues. So first, what we did was, I just wanted to show these numbers to you, our COVID response. We had 4,772 total confirmed cases of the 31,000 employees. But only 2 died, 4,770 recovered. How? We were prepared. We vaccinated all 3 for 99% of the employees. And those who were refusing, we managed to convince why you should take the vaccination. Right? And we have spent more than 60 million rupees on ICCs. So at any given time, we had a room available in a hospital for our employees. At some times, we have more than 200 rooms paid available to cater for our employees. And sometimes, these were 100% full. Right? So what we did was we looked after our team. That's very important. We created an environment to the employees. Look, your workplace is safer than your home. Your workplace is safer than your community and where else you go. So it's good to come to work. Right? And we gave accommodation for those who had who were living in risky areas. Right? And also we looked after the community. We supported the the area hospital. We have factories. We have more than 100 factories. So we looked after all the hospitals in the area. We supported the police. We supported the fire. We supported the around the surrounding villages. We gave various things. We gave money. We gave medicine. We gave masks. So those support. So villagers or the community was with us. They supported, they pushed people to go to work, right? So, and business agility, we wanted, like, wherever possible, we were very agile. Like we said, if you can work from home, right? So we gave computers and various other facilities. I'm trying to cover a little bit more in my next slide. And manage the supply chain disruptions, right? I was talking about proactive. Right? So we anticipated the fuel crisis, and we were the first to install diesel and petrol tanks in all our facilities. Right? Before anybody else think about, because we ran out of fuel tanks, you know that. So we anticipated and we filled up. We still have fuel stocks, so we can manage any crisis situation. So supply chains, we made sure that we have enough supplies. Also, we supported the others, like our transport providers, our finished goods suppliers, our employees who are coming to work. We gave them buses, and so made sure that supply chain works. Otherwise, there's no point us working and us producing if you can't sell it. Right? So these are some of the things that we did for COVID. I'm not going to go into details. You can read them in interest of time. So I have some case studies. So I'm going to cover first pandemic, what we did, and then the economic crisis. Depending on the time, stop me if I'm overshooting. Right? So this will be more interesting to look at certain areas, certain businesses, how we manage it. First, we thought every challenge provides you an opportunity. Dip Products is our glove manufacturing arm, right? We were under capacity. We were only doing about 60% of our production facility. And we saw the opportunity. We made sure that every plant, all the unused plants are fully serviced and ready to produce. So we made sure that the entire capacity was utilized, and we saw the opportunity in the market. We matched the price to the demand. We could take a price increase, we took it. Then one thing we didn't do is, there were a lot of inquiries from the new customers. Give us, we'll give you more. Like if you are selling a pair of gloves for, let's say, $1, for example, somebody came and new customer comes and say, I'll give you 150. Give me the thing. But we made sure that your existing suppliers are serviced first, because they are going to last with you forever. Right? If you knock off the current supplier and go to a new guy, when the current guy goes, the new guy goes, he will say, go to hell, when I'm in trouble, you didn't support me. I was with you for 10 years, past 10 years, and now you are somebody who has come paying a little bit more is more important. So I'm not going to stick to you. So we made sure that your customers are looked after. Then we had a Thailand operation on disposable gloves, because Sri Lanka is mainly industrial and household gloves. So we activated that plant. We were trying to sell this plant because we were not having enough demand for this plant. So we saw the opportunity. We even upgraded the plant, and we could produce 100% of that plant, and still we are producing. So some of the customers we acquired during that time, we could hold on to, although the demand has come down. Then also we upgraded. We saw the opportunity. We went into different areas. We went into sports gloves. Likewise, because that's an area that is coming up. I don't know, the younger generation must be knowing. The clothing industry is moving towards sports wear. Athletic leisure, they call it. People start wearing this climate control, like the sports wear to work also, some of the people. So there's a trend change from denims and cotton shirts to athletic clothing. So we are invested on that one. We saw the trend happening, and we invested in these type of gloves. Another case is, you can ask me questions, by the way. If you think you should ask me a question, you can stop me and ask. It may be more interesting rather than me completing the presentation. Answer any questions you have. So stop me at any time. Just put up your hand, I will answer. So we saw that during COVID we saw that food is going to be a problem and delivery is going to be a problem. So we were the first 5-star hotel to start online food delivery. And we reduced the prices. We cut down the prices by 50% because affordability should be. Because a lot of people who didn't think about going to a 5-star hotel for a meal started buying from Kingsbury. So Kingsbury, we started delivering at affordable price, family meals mainly, so that people could buy. And we cut off the middlemen. Like, we didn't use Uber Eats, or we didn't use Pick Me. We got our staff to deliver food. Those who had vehicles, we said, everybody has to do a delivery run, right? So we save that money, because some of these people charge 30% margin, 30% commission on food deliveries. When it comes to Singer also increased the e-presence a lot, and we managed to try to sell. We got a huge customer base on selling online, right? And what we did in Singer is, we made sure that the products are available. We saw this is going to happen, so we imported a huge stock of goods and stock. So it is available. Now, if you see the other two competitors, if you go to one of their shops, you will see a lot of them are not having enough goods, some of the basic items. But you go to Singer, you will find it. And more than that, although the cost was high, we never shut down our branches. We did not send any of the employees home, the 31,000 people, more than 31,000. In fact, we gave everyone a bonus. We gave everyone those under a certain capacity hardship allowance. We gave everyone increments. Not a single employee was sent home. So that is where we got the employee engagement. They believe that company looked after you when you are in trouble, difficult periods. So I have to also give the same to the company. So that engagement is very important. So next one, plantations. So plantations were the other very vulnerable area. So we looked after estate workers by providing, we gave everyone a food pack, flour and rice and the things that they need. So we never experienced any strike, no work to rule. Everybody wanted to. During pandemic, I forgot to tell you, when I was talking about the staff, we never shut down any of our factories during lockdown. During curfew, we all worked. We were proactive. We got the government to certify us as essential service. And we got buses arranged. We got curfew passes arranged. We took each and every employee to work. And where it not possible, we got accommodation for them. We got accommodation arranged close by places, and took them in buses or vans to work. So we didn't shut down, maybe about 1 day or 2 days max. None of our factories shut down during curfew and lockdowns. So we all worked, including estate workers. Right? They all worked during lockdown. So that is why we could deliver. So we started growing vegetable because it was expensive and not available. And we started producing organic fertilizer because you all know chemical fertilizer was banned. So we wanted to have some our own produce, so we could support. Coming back to the economic crisis, again some of the highlights of the crisis. Lack of predictability. So you never know what will happen. People are scared to buy because you don't have the visibility on sales. Then energy supply interruptions, manufacturing distribution issues, import restriction, you all know, interest rates, exchange rate, freight rates. Do you know a container to go from Sri Lanka to USA was $2,500 before the pandemic. It went up to $15,000. Calculate the percentage, you all accountants know, calculate the percentage of increase. So how do we manage? Then impact to your business partner. It's no point, you are only surviving. You need to make sure entire supply chain survives. So you need to support them. So some case studies again. Am I on time? Stop me if I'm going overshooting. People welfare. We gave staff transport to everyone. We picked up from the closest bus stand of their house and gave. At the time we had, this is to head office, and factories were anyway doing it. We had about 18 or 23 buses running. When there was no diesel, so when everybody couldn't come to work and working from home, we brought all our staff into office. Then we did this model vegetation plots. We supported hospitals. We stopped all our other CSR work. We said there's medical shortage of medical. We had a company internal where we import some medical equipment. We were the first to support some of these, what do you call these machines that you were giving initially to support breathing. So we started supporting our hospitals, and we said all our CSR funding will channel to hospitals to support medicine. Right? Then we are still giving dry rations to middle and low level staff. And we are giving a quarterly hardship allowance, kind of a bonus, so that people can survive the economic increase. Supply chain, I touched on supply chains. So luckily we had USD revenue. So we could use our own USD to import bunkers. Bunkers means marine gas oil. MGO is marine gas oil. So we actually supplied all the BOI factories, yes. We do, but we see now we see that from there, like your inflation has gone up. Say we are talking about 70%, 80% inflation, food inflation. Now, we didn't want them to suffer and cut down their spending on food. Because obviously you have to cut down something, no? The take-home pay of everybody is come down. Of course, I could afford, but imagine a person getting 100,000 or 200,000 salary. They have to cut down spending on their food. So we compensated that by giving this. So we didn't want them to suffer. And most of that, maybe some people don't take it that much, but we want to give the feeling your company is going to look after you when you are in trouble. Right? So marine gas oil, we supplied all BOI companies so that they could run their generators and they could do their production. So, and we could earn our dollars, what is most required for our economic survival of Sri Lanka, country's economic survival. And we converted all the buses to run on MGO because diesel was not available. Up till recently, the diesel was available. None of the buses stops, they ran on MGO. Food security, supported Sri Lanka's food security and business continuity. So what I touched on the fuel storage and all our factories, double door, triple, we were geared to run 1 full month without fuel supply, petrol or diesel. Right? We were ready. And we started relying on local supplies, and we supported the smallholders, the gherkin growers in Wakarai. They are very vulnerable. So we gave them even money. Yeah? We gave them advances, taking a risk. Some might not even pay. But we wanted to look after and show the community that we care. And we did some farmer education, and we supported the supply partners, as I said earlier. Also, use innovation, digitization, and automation, and seize the opportunity available. So, there were a lot of pain points people had. So, address the pain points. So, power cuts, we were the first to come up with off-grid, because everybody was waiting Children Electricity Board to give you connection. We were the first to come up with off-grid battery backup system. So you said buy 5 panels of solar, buy 1 battery, buy an inverter, you can have your power during the power cuts. So that we saw the opportunity and we were the first to move in. A lot of other people also do it now. But first mover advantage we have. And we are the largest in Sri Lanka still, Fentons. We anticipated power crisis and we got down as much as possible generators in our stocks. And we are pushing solar. To date, we are pushing solar. Renewable energy is the way forward. To date, we produce more than 50 megawatts of power and supply to Sri Lanka. Although we haven't paid for 1 year. So the government owes us 2.5 billion rupees for the energy supplied to the government. So export, and the other thing is Sri Lanka needs dollars. We focused on exports. We started acquiring new acquisitions, customers. We started exporting aluminium, whatever possible, because aluminium was never expected to be exported. But now we are supplying more than 5-6 countries, about 10 countries. So as I said, we bring in more than $600 million to the country, and that is 4.2% of country's exports earnings. I think I've covered. So that is why we are ranked as #1 by top 2 business magazines, LMD Top 100 and Business Today Top 40. And if you have seen the latest publication by Business Today released yesterday, for year 2022 also we are ranked as #1. Thank you. Any questions, we can take it now or during the panel discussion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cholya de Silva. I think all our undergraduates and the graduates as well, that was a very insightful speech. Of course, ended with a success story. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us give a round of applause to Mr. Cholya de Silva once again for that insightful speech, of course. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, we are moving towards the second presentation of the day. And before inviting the resource person, let me read out his profile to you. He is none other than Mr. Chamath Sirivardhana, the Senior Manager for KPMG in the Cayman Island. Mr. Chamat Sirivardhana is a dynamic young professional who currently working as a senior manager for KPMG Cayman Islands. Before joining KPMG, he was a senior manager for financial reporting and planning at CDB. His achievement as the youngest senior manager at CDB is one of the many feathers he wears on his hat. He has focused experience in the banking and finance and fund management industry gathered over the last 9+ years. He is a graduate of Department of Accounting, University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, a fact that you should be proud about, with a first-class honors and the gold medal for the most outstanding student. He also holds an MBA from the University of West London. Mr. Chamat is a fellow member of CA Sri Lanka, fellow member of SCCA UK, which he completed as a World Prize winner for Advanced Performance Management in 2016, associate member of CPA Australia, member of CPM, and also an associate member of CMA Sri Lanka. He is an enthusiastic community worker involved in many projects in a variety of arenas. He was the president of Accountancy and Financial Management Association, which is known as AFMA, the Student Association of Department of Accounting of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. Further, he is a leading financial reporting lecturer for CA Sri Lanka strategic and corporate level examinations. So ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome this resource person, Mr. Chamat Sirivardhana, for his presentation with a round of applause.
Wow. Thank you for the introduction, and I also proud by listening my own introduction. So, first tell me, I am giving some kind of option to you. Are you want me to speak in this podium, maybe a traditional, conventional kind of a speech, or you want me to take this one or move here and there? So how you feel? First or second one? Second one, yes. Yes, hope this is working. Right. So, good morning. Listening about crisis, winning strategies to come out with crisis in a Saturday morning, and it's raining as well. Maybe not the best thing that you want in this kind of a weekend. Is that so? Because I heard very low good morning at the very beginning. So, good morning to you. Okay, sounds good now. Thank you very much. Right. So basically, first I want to tell you one thing. Actually, I got a call from one of my good friend, actually Lahiru, the one who is with me during when I was at university. He was my roommate and at my boarding place, and he told me, Siri, because that was the pet name that he used to call me, Siri, there's a panel discussion that you have to come and participate. I said yes, because when it's come to panel discussion, it's very easy, because 1 or 2 questions will be asked, no need to prepare, and impromptuly we can give the answer. Very easy, right? So I said yes. Then after 1 week, he sending me a flyer, and I saw not only a panel discussion, I have to participate for a presentation as well. And the other surprising fact is, I have gone through who are the other panelists. 2 CFOs and another head of finance, and I am like the senior manager, and I am supposed to give some kind of strategic views when it's come to coming out of the crisis. But I take it as positively, and thank you putting me into crisis, and I had to manage my own crisis, and I took it as positively because I asked who is the audience, because I am a person who normally asks for that. Then he told me, we have our lecturers. Anyway, lecturers know tremendously coming out of crisis because they are the one who faced biggest challenges. Why? As Sri Lankans, we used to do some physical lecturing and everything. It was suddenly moved to virtual learning and work from home, everything, right? So they know how to manage crisis. And then some MBA, or let's say some MPAcc students are there, those who are already working, so they also know. But more than that, we have the undergraduates. I think today audience also, we have a lot of undergraduates. So I thought of, because I know this gentleman and this lady will definitely cover up the top management kind of strategies to coming out of this crisis. So I will share some of my own experience as a senior manager who worked in a leading finance company in Sri Lanka. So anyway, my title goes as KPMG, Cayman Island, and you might ask, if you are in Cayman Island, what you are doing here, right? So I will share that story later, probably in the panel discussion, right? So that is also just because of the crisis only that I would be able to work for another country, being in Sri Lanka, and that is the one of the biggest trend going on at the moment in the country. So I will share that experience later. So it's like this basically. So when the crisis was there, one of the main industry affected was financial services. Why? There's a huge correlation between the economy or the crisis and the financial services industry. So I got the chance, luckily, to be a part of that team who were into the crisis management, right? So I will share my experience, how I see the crisis and how I take actions to come out of this. So what I say is, last month actually, we had a, I don't want to mention the name, we had a conference. In that conference, the theme goes as transform. So that conference also mainly targeting on coming out of the crisis and how to transform things. But some speakers, they talk about, they further elaborated the crisis. Why it happened, how it happened, what are the reasons, who is responsible. Some blame for the government as well, but very few talks about how to coming out of the crisis. Because that is very much important. Why I am telling, anyway, this particular session is for the coming out of the crisis that we are facing as a country, that we are facing as a world, but still, what are the things that I am going to discuss with today, you can apply to your own personal kind of a crisis. So what are the personal kind of a crisis that you might think? Graduates, undergraduates, if you are losing your girlfriend just 2 days before the examination, that's I call a crisis, right? Just imagine, right? Right, okay. Right, thank you. So just to define a crisis, so I am not going for a big kind of a definition given by a researcher or any other scholar. So how I define the crisis, so this definition I have taken from the Cambridge Dictionary. So situation that is extremely difficult or dangerous when there are many problems. So if you have some problems and if you feel it is difficult, then it is a crisis. So were you in the fuel queues? Raise the hands who were there in the fuel queues. Yes, thank you. Have you were there keeping gas cylinders in the queue? Spent nights? Yes. Of course we are in a crisis. Simple terms, right? We will take it simple and we will go to in detail, right? So that is what I mean crisis, right? So if you go to the next slide. Sorry, I thought someone else is going to change slide for me. Right. So I have given some pictures, right? So here, let's say in Sri Lanka, now if you take the inflation, how much you think? Normally it was like 6%, 7%. But now in last month, it was like 64%. Food inflation, 94%. Imagine you are taking a fish bun today, 100 rupees, and after some period it is becoming 200 rupees. That is the inflation we have at the moment. And if you think about the GDP growth, are we having a GDP growth in this year? So based on the World Bank predictions, the GDP growth of our country is going to be 9% minus, not plus minus. Next year, 3% again minus, right? So that is the situation. Then if you come to other factors, Options it was like 30 plus, even 91 days treasury bills and 364 treasury bills, the rate is like 30 plus, right? So the interest rates are rising, right? And other than that, if you think about we have the exchange prices actually. The balance of payment, if we take last year, I can't remember the exact figures, but it is close to 4 billion USD minus, right? In terms of balance of payment, right? And other things are, actually we are in the third year of pandemic. I think you can remember 2019. Actually pandemic start for me in 2019. You might think pandemic started in 2020, immediately after COVID-19. No, 2019. Why? We had the Easter bomb attack, right? April 21st, right? After that, we have slowly recovered somewhere in December 2019. And again, luckily, in 2020 March, we are into this COVID-19 pandemic, and that is the main reason some of you are very happy. Of course, I also somewhat happy because we can stay some time at our home, we can plant some chili plants and everything, and we can watch some movies during the lockdown period. But this is the end result that we are facing for the rest that we have taken in that particular period, right? So here, forget about the Sri Lankan context anyway. As Kennedy sir mentioned, yes, it is a man-made crisis in Sri Lanka. But if you think about the global context also, because I can remember one of my friend went UK last month. The main reason for, right, we are in a brain drain, right? Maybe those young professionals like me are going out of the country. We call it brain drain, and there's no one. After, let's say, 20 years, we will face huge severity when it's come to the people who are going to manage in this country. That is the biggest problem we have in this particular crisis, right? So that my friend told, again Siri, right? I am going because the economy is not performing well in Sri Lanka. He is going to UK saying that Sri Lankan economy is going to perform. But my dear friends, basically this is a crisis facing all around the world. Even in UK, USA, you can't escape from that economic crisis. The only difference that I see is in Sri Lanka, the way we manage things are somewhat different compared to the global context. We don't have national policies and everything, right? So I'm not going to take that part because I have to convey some kind of a strategy by coping up with these all. And as you all know, now in globally, we have the geopolitical problem. Russia and Ukraine war is there, as well as the Europe is going to face the biggest energy crisis that they have faced in the history, right? In the winter season is coming, no energy to heat up their homes. You don't know what is going to happen, right? That is the problem we have. So you might went Aragala as well. So all these are saying what? We are in a crisis. So that is how I define the crisis. Now it is not all about defining the crisis. I have to tell you some way that we have to move out from the crisis, right? Because don't worry, this is the last slide that I have, because I am giving that feeling this is going to be the last slide, right? Then you know that I am going to finish up earlier, right? So actually, don't go and find this particular model. There's nothing called Opry model, right? So this is a model that I have developed based on my personal experience, right? Otherwise, you might go somewhere and type in Google and find who has produced this Opry model. No, you can't buy. It's Chamas Sirivadana's model, right? So this is basically based on my personal experience, right? So actually, if you want to come in out of the crisis, I am telling you these 4 steps that you have to follow. If you follow these 4 steps, of course, you can come out of, maybe you may not able to transform our country, but still you can come out of your personal crisis, or if you are working for an organization, you can definitely come in out of that particular crisis. So here, the first one, what is important? If it is a crisis, observe. Very important, because we don't know what is coming. We don't know what is coming. Have we ever experienced COVID-19 earlier? Have we ever thought that we have to wear a mask all the day? Not. We have no experience. We have no prior experience. So very important. Have we ever thought 6.6 billion people will die. Almost 30% equivalent to Sri Lankan population will die just because of this COVID-19. No, we never thought. So that is why when there is a crisis, the first step need to be, you have to observe very well what is coming there. What are the risks that I have to address? Sometimes we are diluted with some factors. We are not focusing on the main problem. Let's say when the fuel crisis there, what we did? We got a can and we went to the fuel station and everyone tried to fill up their own buckets. What were the end result? Entire unstable just because of that, right? Because I also did that, right? I'm not like the good guy, right? I also did that, but that was the end result. We were like some kind of a panic buy. That was the end result. So what required is basically you need to observe. So I will share a small story with you. Because anyway, as Mr. Choli also mentioned, so we are supposed to be in a finance team. As a member who are in a finance team, in a finance company, we can't stop transactions. It has to process. So in that case, we have to go to work. So it was like initially they have given some quotas. So per organization, like 30 people can come. And I don't know whether I am fortunate or unfortunate. I also in that 30 list. And I went there, right? In that case, one day, our CEO, managing director, wanted to have a discussion. So we were like wearing double mask and even the hand gloves as well, right? Hand gloves and everything. And we are very worried and we are very actually depressed because we are going to die. We are going to die. That is the impression that we had. And we are sitting in front of the MD and MD says, he came with a light voice, no need to think about big, so we will do this and no need to worry. And I was like, what this guy is talking about? We are going to die and he is very cool. Then after the meeting, I approached him and asked, sir, why you are so much positive on this? Because we are going to die like 2 to 3 days maybe. He said, if I showed my negativity to the staff, if I showed and if I have given that kind of a manage to staff, it is not the way that we wanted. And the one thing that he told me, anyway, I understood that crisis is not coming to destroy you. The crisis is coming to understand your potentials, what you can do. If the crisis is not there, Hales will not grow as that much. That I know, right? So crisis is a time period for consolidation. So you have to think about yourself, right? You have to do the changes. Maybe normally, that is very important. You have to be positive and you have to stay positive and you have to identify what are the risks coming in and collect as much as information. Maybe you don't have local experience, go to the global context and find as much as information. That is very important before take any actions, right? The next one, prepare. So now you understand the concept. Observe, you observed and you had some factors and you have evaluated some risk and now you are going to prepare the strategy, second stage. So when it's come to prepare, very important, crisis management team. So how many of you are watching cartoons? Don't be shy. I am also watching cartoons, right? So cartoon is normal, in young age we are watching cartoons. Then after that with our kids we are watching cartoons, right? So how many of you have watched Dostara Honda Hita? Maybe still they have, right? Because it's one of the favorite in our times, right? So there's a character called Chow Chow. Can anyone remember? That character is saying, it is not going to happen. That was the wording he had, right? So why I have pointed out the same thing, crisis management team. In a crisis management team, basically you have some driving people, driving forces, as well as some restraining forces. So this is one of the basic concepts coming in change management. I think you may have learned. Change management. When there's a change that you want to do in an organization, there are some forces who are driving for it. Yeah, let's do it. But there are some people who draw it back, saying, no, this is not going to happen. So very important, establish a crisis management team. I think Mr. Choli also mentioned they have established a task force and I'm pretty sure they have incorporated only driving forces and not the restraining forces. Because with restraining forces, it is very difficult to drive a change in an organization. So in my context also, I can share one of the experience. Actually, we had 2 managers in senior managers in finance division. And that manager was like, how can you do financial transaction without papers? Because financial transactions are more or less coming with source documents, papers. It's a paper-based kind of a thing. How can we do? Even without seeing invoices and everything, how can we pay for our suppliers? It is not going to happen, right? Even without seeing documents that customers have signed, how can we disperse the loans? It is not going to happen. So likewise, we had a lot of problems. But I took that lead, right? Because he was not in the task force. I took that lead and we were able to come up with this strategy. So that is very important, crisis management team. And second one, communicate. So why I am emphasizing this repetitively, in a crisis, two-way communication is very much important, right? So normally what is happening is when there's a crisis, maybe the top management is preparing whatever the strategy and they are just putting down and saying, you do this, so, right? So what in our context, basically we had like 71 branches. So who are facing the crisis, who are facing the customers, those who are in the tellers and the cashiers, they are facing the customers. They know what is happening out there. So we have to take their communication as well to make a good strategy. Otherwise, it is not going to happen. So that is why two-way communication is very much important. And the things are new, things are unknown. So that is why the communication, if there is a communication gap, you can't do anything. And we'll come to the third one, response. Now you have observed the thing. Now you have prepared your strategy, right? And now you are going to respond. So here, one of the things that I am telling you is, I can still remember when we do the changes. Actually, I am having a very good boss, my CFO. If something went wrong, he never let anyone to point us up. He took the ownership. He said, okay, I did this. I will take that blame. Because we did something like trial and error method. Sometimes some things went wrong. Imagine 1 million rupees went to an account which is not supposed to go, right? It is some kind of a severe damage, right? Ultimately, it can lead to a reputational damage as well to the entire brand. So, but I see that feature in my CFO. He took the ownership. He never let anyone to point it out. You did this and you are responsible. So when the ball is there, because crisis management, you have to take the ball. You can't pass the ball to someone else saying, okay, you do it. So you have to take the ownership. If you are, as a leader, if you are not taking the leadership of the crisis, if you are not leading your team, you can't get it done. If you give it to others, you can't do. So imagine when the crisis is there, I learned everything in the finance. Now I know even printing a check as well. Earlier, before that, I didn't know how to print a check because there are a lot of people who can print check. But I learned it just because of that. Anyway, that might not have that much of a value addition to me, but it's a good period because I took the ownership, right? Final one, very important, evaluation. So Sri Lanka also, I don't see that much of evaluation. Normally we observe the things, we have some committees and we prepare strategies and sometimes we implement, but we never evaluate the impact and we never revise the plan. That is also very much important. So post-implementation review is very much important because if you have come up with a strategy to come out of the crisis, you have to think about whether this will serve my purpose, whether this strategy can cover up the risk that I have identified in the first process. If it is not covering up the risk that you have identified in the first process, then you have to come back and you have to revise your goals and your objectives and you have to come up with a new plan, right? So this is a simple model. I think now you can have some kind of an idea. If there's a crisis, what you need to do? Don't get panic, observe, then prepare the strategy, execution, and after that, you need to have a controlling part as well, right? So go into the next slide. Last slide actually, right? So what is required? Because I know there are emerging leaders in here, right? So if there is a crisis or whatever, you need to have a good dedication. Take the ownership, right? Be the leader, be the driving force. Don't become the restraining force. And then focus on your risk, focus on your objective, focus what is required to be done. Then wait for the end result and evaluate the end result as well. So I believe I have given some kind of an understanding how to come up with a crisis. Maybe you can come up with your personal crisis as well, right? For the graduates that I am telling you are not working at the moment, undergraduates, right? So here, what I want to tell you is, at last, crisis is not there to destroy you. Crisis is there to understand your own potential. As human beings, we have gone through a lot of crises in the history, right? People found out new things, innovation, fire, aeroplane, or whatever the things came out of a crisis just because of a solution for a biggest difficulty that they had. So that is how we have evolved as humans. Now if it is another COVID-19, let's say after 30 years time, we can tell our kids, you don't know how to survive COVID-19, but we know, just wear the mask. We can tell that message to our kids, right? So here, what I want to tell you is, don't get afraid. Just think you have the brain and work for it. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamat Sirivardhana, of course, ending his speech with a note of positivity. So, ladies and gentlemen, as he mentioned, a crisis is not something to be afraid of. That's something that we as Sri Lankans should understand. And it's a way, it's a message to understand our true potentials. So, ladies and gentlemen, before moving on to the other presentations of the day, let us give our recognition to the main sponsors of the day, who is ACCA. We will now look at a short video by the main sponsor of the Strategic Forum 2022. We do face a little technical error, it seems. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, until we fix it from the side of the organizers, so we will move to the third presentation, ladies and gentlemen. And before moving on to the presentation, let me introduce the resource personnel, who is Mr. Nishantha Kaluarachi, the Chief Financial Officer of Hydramani Industries. Mr. Nishantha Kaluarachi is the Chief Financial Officer currently serving at Hydramani Industries, Sri Lanka. He has been functioning in this role since 2018, and before that, he functioned as the Chief Financial Officer at Regency Garments Limited, owned by Hydramani Group since 2015. Prior to that, he has been serving as Group Finance Manager at EAP Group since 2013, and before that, he worked for 9 years at Ernst & Young. When he left Ernst & Young, he served as a Senior Manager at Transaction Advisory Services. Altogether, he is counting more than 15 years of experience in the finance sector. Mr. Nishantha is a fellow member of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants UK and also an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants UK, associate member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, and associate member of Certified Management Accountants of Sri Lanka. He also holds a Master of Financial Economics, first class merit from the University of Colombo, and a Bachelor of Science in Financial Management, second upper from the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the next speaker, Mr. Nishantha Kaluarachi, with a round of applause.
Thank you very much. I'm also a guy. I can't fit into a model or a cube. I just also want to work out and I'll just walk and do the presentation. Yeah. Actually, someone from your course has contacted me and asked, "Hi Nishantha, we are also going to have a kind of a forum. Can you come and do a presentation?" my only precondition was, yes, of course I will come and do a presentation, but I don't know theories. I don't know whatsoever theories, but I will talk about what I am doing. So entire thing what I'm going to do is what I do day to day, nothing else. And guys, I'm coming from privately owned company, so please bear with me and don't expect I can't disclose any figures, facts, but I will give sort of insights so that you can, get ideas. Unlike Mr. Cholia is coming from public quoted company, he can disclose whatsoever figures, but I can't. And before I go through the presentation, I'm actually living in apparel. So we have different sectors now. I'm coming from apparel background. For last 7, 8, 9 years, I was with apparels. I will entirely focus on apparel, nothing else, because I don't know that. So I'm in different world. I live with that. I don't know any other world. So don't expect anything, but I know a little bit of economics. I will talk about economics. Now, my audience, apparel is, you may think that we are selling garments, but we are not selling garments. What we are selling? Apparel, we are selling minutes. Every activity in the organization we put into minutes, time, and we are selling. Each and every minute we are spending is money. So we can't waste time. So the time we have passed and time we are heading is cost and money. So I'll just give one insight. Keep that in your mind throughout my presentation. Apparel is kind of a dynamic business. Each and every day is a deadline. How that deadline is happen. I'll explain. When your customer from USA or Europe or UK or somewhere giving you a order, that order itself has predefined delivery date. That order is already decided. I need 31st March on this day, this shipment be in my DC in USA. That's how he is quoted. Now, what apparel guys are doing is they just calculate time from that delivery to date. So generally manufacturing cycle requires about 40 to 45 days. If you want to bring your materials, transshipment takes about 30 days, depending on the countries where you are importing your materials. 45 days plus 30 days, somewhere 75 days. Not only that, your raw material manufacturer require certain days to manufacture. You have to give them time. So they see, let's say about 30 to 20 days for their manufacturing cycles. You have to give that time for them. They also need to book their material, grades, so and so. They also need to book them. So we have to talk with your suppliers at least before 120 days of your delivery. For your time is starting from that. So you need to foresee 120 days ahead. So apparel is always living in the future. You are not living in the past. So today we are talking about how we are going to deliver our shipments in next year, March, April. So we are talking about, we are living in that. So keeping that in mind, how we dealt with the crisis, what is the crisis going, and how we are going to outperform that, I am going to just explain you. Before that, when I heard this topic, I just went through and Google and found some graceful quotes. Few I have, illustrated here. I think audience can see. One simple thing I noted from Robert Kiyosaki, is one of the famous author who wrote that wonderful book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you have time, please download and see. He mentioned, history reminds us that dictators and despots arise during times of severe economic crisis. So all good things happen as the consequences of crisis. So there are some more things, like Jawaharlal Nehru mentions once, crises and deadlocks, when they occur, have at least this advantage, that they force us to think, rethink. So I don't want to read anymore. Just let me to go through. During my presentation, since I read some economics, I will explain first where we are at the moment in Sri Lanka, because we all talk about so-and-so crisis. This is our journey. Can we be happy? Wonderful journey. See, 1948, we have about 3.8% economic growth and 143 per capita. And when our economy was liberalized in 1977, we were about somewhere around 5.1% economic growth, and our per capita was somewhere around $288. And even our national debt was starting, somewhere around $1 billion. Later, 2001, remember, when I was doing my advanced level, or before advanced level, I heard a lot of, newspapers, television were telling that our economy was negative. 2001, our economy was somewhere around negative 1.5%, and our per capita income was somewhere around $833. And national debt, you can see $8.9 billion that time. After that, I just took 2008 because we ended the war, 30 years war. There, our economy was 5.95 was economic growth rate, and per capita income was somewhere around $2,000. And the national debt was about $9 billion. And today, I must say, we are bankrupted. Of course, our debt is somewhere around $68 billion, and economic growth somewhere around 9%, 8.5% negative. And per capita income, it was about 4,000. We were just plus in middle high income category, but now straight away came back to 3,008. That is somewhere around 2011. We just automatically came back to 2011. Next year will be somewhere around 2008. But I don't know. This is where we have as a nation, right? And 2001, I just quickly gone through. This is those numbers actually was outlined previously. Our trade balance is negative. Current balance is negative. Overall balance of payment is negative. Workers' remittance were, it was in 2018-19 was high, but it is coming down. And tourist arrivals, we mentioned earlier also, right? Tourist arrival is coming down. Last month it was somewhere around 40 to 50,000, but it is coming down. Reserves going down, gross reserves going down, exchange is rocketing. US dollars before the crisis somewhere around 186, 190, now 365. That will go up to 400, never know, right? I'll explain, I will give a couple of hints. And economic growth negative, per capita income, straight away we are going back to 2011. See, ladders will up and down, automatically are with the cobra, in the childhood we are having this thing game, so we straight away came back to 2011. So, now, we are very pretty much clear about the crisis. Gentlemen, if you can help me, I can't move this. Yeah, this is as a country, in terms of all KPIs, we are here. As I told you, I'll link this with apparel, our journey so far, because country's economy is coming from that level to this level. As a sector, what apparel did, how it come across. 2019, there was a crisis in Sri Lanka, like Easter bomb attack, everyone knows. Of course, apparel was severely attacked, affected. A lot of buyers who were supposed to come was cancelled their destinations. We can't fly Sri Lanka. Because of that, generally apparels, how it happened is, each and every style you are getting, you have to develop a sample and you have to hand carry, or your customer will come, you have buyer office and all here, you have to verify that sample and confirm. Then all your other critical part activity will start. So here, after this thing, Sri Lanka there was a travel ban announced by USA, UK, all European countries. No one is coming here. Like, what happened? So we had to, first look after the victimized employees of our factories. And I mean, Hyderabad is the area I am looking, we are having more than 12,000 employees. We had to look after them. And we had to talk to authorities. We had to talk to authorities and get certain clearances and all. And we had to, dispatch our representative to buyers and talk to them, explain them the situation. Somehow we managed, and we have wanted to, show them that our security measures were strengthened here. Don't worry, you can come, have a look at our plant, factories, nothing to be worried. That was an incident, something happened, that will not repetitive. So and so explanation being given, had to cope up with that challenge, somehow overcome. After some time we thought that, my God, the problem is over. 2019 situation will never come. Now we can at least, focus our basics and we can move ahead. But 2020, March 20 somewhere, we heard something happened, Wuhan. Some of our fabric, we actually knew that because I told you that, we are talking about 3 months or 4 months ahead. So from our fabric manufacturers, we are getting a lot of fabric from Chinese mills. We got to know that something happening. Our supply chain is getting constrained. Since we are in the future, we were ready, we were prepared. But this country, 2020 March 20th day, they just say, please, we are going to lock down. We heard new word to alphabetic lockdown and all, we locked down the operations. Imagine having 12,000 employees across the entire island, having more than 11 factories. If you happen to close your factories within a day, and you are having a delivery commitment, that's why I told at the beginning, delivery commitment in future to your customers, how can you go and tell customers that I can't send my shipment on that day? No one will get your garments to wear. They are also getting their trousers, pants, and official dresses for their all functions, no? So that's the commitment. You can't go back and tell that I can't deliver. Now we had to strategize how to deliver, how to work, how to get the workers to your operations. So travel restriction again, worldwide, we can't deliver sample, nothing. Not only that, because of that, international, all shipping lines were, congested, Sri Lankan port, and there was few more crises as well. Port was congested, you can't bring shipment, and lockdown situation happened. So what we did actually, we set up a COVID task force, taken from each discipline, HR, admin, production, planning, finance, all colleagues set into a team, and they have given different tasks. You have to bring, somehow we have to meet the delivery, bring the workers, please outline sort of activities need to do and manage your operations. So the task force came with certain strategies. Then we started, initially we didn't have vaccination, nothing. We started, splitting workers into different buses. We had about 200, 500, 300, 200 to 400 buses. We had to double the buses because you have separation and all, and your canteen space is not enough. You are at a time eating about 1,000 people. You have to have bigger space because separation is there. You have to double or you have to break into shifts. Your colleague having lunch with you will not be able to have a lunch. Those are grievances, crying people. How can I have lunch without my colleague? Please give the awareness. Can't have those luxuries now. Split into three batches and have lunch, tea, coffee, everything same. And even in apparel, about 50, 60 operators, queuing together in a separate line, and they are manufacturing. Now the line also you have to separate. Then the movements, timing, everything will be increased. Generally in apparel, you have a measure called SMV, standard minute value. The sewing operation is broken into each minute. Each and every operation is minuted. When you have distance you can't, as you want, you can't put. There are industrial engineers, they just put your layout properly. You can't put people as you want. When your layout is predetermined, because of the COVID, you have to have more separation now. Then you have to relay out your entire production flow. Space constraint, all these things we actually manage, somehow delivered and meet the delivery. So I will outline the industrial figures later. But these are the sort of challenges, and strategies followed. Employment wellness, quarantine centers, employee mobility program, right? You have to send vehicles to bring to the workers home and bring people. Now, unlike, all other industries also have that dynamic, but unlike other industries, in your apparel, in your 60 operator line, if you're missing 5-6 operators, can others run? You can't. If you're missing a waistband operator, you can't complete a pant. If you lose your, like fly operations or ship operation, you can't bring, you have to somehow go to his or her home and bring him back. Each and every operator wise, you should have a mobility program. Kanti coming from Horana, Kanti coming from Molkava, Kanti coming from Mulatiu, Kilinochi, you have to think about that person. Not only that, Kanti's husband is quarantined, then you also have to quarantine. So you have to look after the family as well. If Kanti's son is going to school, you have to look after him also. Otherwise, you can't operate entire line. If you can't operate entire line, you can't manufacture. You can't manufacture, you can't wash, you can't finish, you can't ship. You can't ship mean in apparel, in your order, are broken into sizes. Medium, when you are going to buy a pant, medium, extra large, large, small, extra small, sizes. So the customers, they don't want 100 extra large and having one medium size. The ratio. So the entire order quantity has to be fulfilled also. So that operator must be there. That is universal truth, nothing. You can't challenge that. So industry has to work some or other to bring that operator and sit 7 a.m. in the morning. Time is already factored, planned. You can't deviate. That's why I told 31st March, you have to bring that shipment out. Time is already minuted, planned. Planning board already factors that. You don't have any cushion. All these variables had to manage. So imagine the pain they went through, somehow managed. I don't want to illustrate one by one. We thought that, my God, this COVID by 2021 is over. Luckily, we can focus on our basics. Then all other innovations, research, development, efficiency improvement, productivity improvement, all so-called good things we could have done. But 2021, entire Gampaha area and Ratnapura, a lot of our manufacturing plants were there, flooded. And some of our factories are in northeast, Mulatiu district, flooded. How you can bring your people? You can't run. Then a couple of our factory managers calling me, Nishanta, can we arrange a couple of boats to bring these goods to another place? Boats? Are you crazy? No, that's the reality. We had to arrange more than 50 boat operations to bring goods from one location to another locations. How? Otherwise, you can't deliver. You can't meet your delivery commitment. But there are things, opportunities, there are ideas coming out of, always have to think out of the box. Brought down boats operation, talked to the disaster recovery centers, somehow brought those garments to another locations without flood areas and managed to wash those garments, stitch garments, talk to the buyers. But never ever we went and talked to the buyers, hey, because of floods, we can't deliver and all. What will happen? There will be panic. So please, next season, transfer from all these orders Sri Lanka to Bangladesh. They will move out everything to Vietnam. There are options in the world. You can't panic your buyers. You can't mess around with your customers. Customer is king. Customer satisfaction is your ultimate objective. Don't give surprises to customers. So manage everything. Talk to the government. And all these occasions, Sri Lanka is a country having laws, already acted and written, acted and produced here, not produced, put by English people, and they went. Today we have a law system, certain laws are very stringent and very strict than even England. So anyway, you have to challenge these laws, go to the authorities and talk. There is nothing impossible. Only thing is, all barriers are in your head. Forget all these things, go and talk to them, go to the environment authorities, go to the BOI, go to the export development, go to the government, explain the situation, get their clearance and be compliant. Within the compliant, you have to manage everything. So we have to talk to a lot of government agencies, we have to convince them, actually they supported, somehow flood also we managed. We thought that, now okay. My God, this year, early stage, another crisis came, political issue. You can't bring operators, there are protests happening everywhere, people are attacking to the buses even, like unionizing activities happening, you can't bring, same set of problem happen everywhere. We can't even come to the work, right? So again, strategize, somehow brought workers, somehow we had a task force again, talk to the authorities, talk to the police, please give us prominence, we need to bring our workers, that is our core. Somehow brought people down. Finally, look at the figures. This is not only Hydra money figures, this is apparel sector figures. See, 2021, now generally as a sector, we export $4 billion to $5 billion. 2019 was highest, $5.3 billion. Before this Easter attack, right? 2020, because of COVID, it came down to 4.1 billion. But with all these challenges, 2021 was again $5 billion. 2022, with all these challenges, up to September, we are very much close to 5 billion. Now another 3 months to go. So entire apparel sector will record highest ever export. That will be somewhere around 5.8 billion. Luckily, we could surpass 6 billion, right? So with all these challenges, it is pretty evident that the hard effort actually resulted here. Now, we are very happy we have met the challenge. No. Journey is not over. The biggest crisis has not yet come. Biggest crisis not yet come. I told you now, we are living in next year, April, May. We know the situation going to happen. The global crisis is now going to start, almost start. I will outline few figures. You can see here, I don't know if it is legible. USA is our biggest customer. Still the largest economy in the world. Biggest buying power. They are going to, IMF predicts US next year annual GDP will be somewhere around 1%. That will be reduction. That means they are simple thing, simple economics. Their disposable income will come down. People don't want to spend much on fashions and all. They will spend much on their basics. Our buying will reduce. Europe in a pretty crisis. UK is under severe threat. We ship a lot of school wear garments to UK. School wear is basic, but still huge price pressure. It's still huge price pressure. If they pay about $2 per garment, they will cut down by 50%. We can pay only $1. If you can buy, please take the order. Otherwise, we will ship that to Vietnam or Bangladesh. They are very happy to sell. They are happy to produce. We have to be competitive. Only India will have about 6% growth. Now we have actually realized that. Now we have strategized to move to India, a lot of customer base. So India and China will record certain growth, but all other countries in the world will have a huge stagnation. So the crisis is ahead. As a result, the first quarter of next year, including big apparel exporter Sri Lanka, everybody has we are forcing 50% reduction of our apparel exports. So the country's next year export will have a substantial reduction. It may come back to 4 billion or 3.5 billion if it happens. If you look at our monthly P&L, country's P&L, we normally spend about 1.5 billion for our basic imports. A lot of imports we actually control. About 1.3 billion we exporting. Out of that, 500 million to 450 million is coming from apparel. Balance amount is coming from workers' remittance, tourist arrivals, and other sectors, tea, rubber, coconut, all our traditional crops. But highest 40% is from apparel. As you imagine, if it is going to be reduced by 50%, can you see that? There will be certain gas queues, there will be fuel queues in Sri Lanka. So since we are living in next year, April, we can foresee that. But the second part of next year is still at the block stage. We can't predict more than 6 months. We are very optimistic. We believe second part of next year will be some sort of a relief, but first thing is very, very terrible. So now the real crisis is ahead. How we are going to overcome that? We have to survive. And not only that, we have to thrive as well. Otherwise, we can't come in out of this. But global crisis ahead, so be careful, be stringent, don't spend unnecessarily, focus your basic, try to focus your basic and survive. Don't be, spend lavishly in your organization. If you are a finance colleague, please outline the risk areas. Lot of wastes are there in our operations. Cut down wastes, optimize your productivity, try to survive. Okay, these are the certain things I have outlined how to get on with this global crisis, which is, I feel, more than COVID, more than flood and all other local crises. This is the biggest thing we are going to have. So we have to get on with this. We believe apparel export will come down by 40%. But anyway, we have to think about the light at the end of the tunnel. So reshape your businesses to survive through the crisis. Negotiate with your customers and have more visibility over the demand projections. Any businesses, of course, we have to have a forecast. Live in future. Don't live until something happens. Live in the future, right? So rationalize your consumption, very important. Consumption, that means your material, you have to rationalize. A lot of organizations have standard costing and all, and your material costing is always you are keeping buffers. Please rationalize, cut down unnecessary waste. Your company cannot bear, because we are coming, last 3-4 years, coming out a lot of issues, a lot of crises. We can't manage with all these luxuries. Rationalize your internal spending. Forecast cash flows, very important. Profit is a reciprocal of your cash flows. Very important to focus on your cash flows. Forecast at least next 8 weeks cash flow you have to forecast. What is your vendor commitment? What is your salary commitment? What is your operational expenditure commitment? Forecast. And devise your strategies to at least to be survive, you have to manage your cash flows. Unless you can't be within the difficult times. Please focus your cash flows. And then, at last but not least, if your organization is not making profit, you can't survive. You can't survive. You have to make profit out of whatever crisis somehow. Always try to at least break even and try to increase your bottom line. Start with the break even, right? So those are the things, and these are some of the things. If you can take everything what I talk and summarize, these are the strategies. Leadership. As previous certain presentation explained, leader cannot be panic. Leader has to be a situational leader, long-term visionary leader, charismatic leader. All these features of the leader has to be expelled. Leadership is very important. There are a lot of sudden timely decision has to be taken by the leaders. Take that. Take the risk. Teamwork is very important. As an organization, every department has to work as one unit. There cannot be differences among the teams. And see in the big picture. Big picture is very important. That's why I explained, look at the global world, what is going to happen, and strategize. Forecast and plan, very important. Live in the future. Don't live today. Live in next 4 months. You will be okay then. Know your markets. Know your global economy. Study, research very well. And innovate. Cut down unnecessary waste, innovate. Do research. Digitize and transform. You can't do a lot of manual work. As one of my colleagues previously explained, we were running out of papers. Of course. As a CFO, I cut down 80% of papers. And I asked my procurement guy, don't note A4, don't note the papers, cut down. So we got the opportunity. Today, paperless. No need to spend on papers. And all your papers take and see what opportunities we can digitalize, transform, use digital platforms. Nothing else. Resilient. You have to be resilient. You have to withhold and recover. Don't be negative. You have to be resilient. Managing operational dynamics. There are a lot of things I have explained. You have to manage all these dynamics, right? End of the day, you have to meet your customer satisfaction. That's the final target. Your customer happy, nothing to be worried. You will be happy. Quality and on-time delivery is must. Don't take all these your crises into your operations and give that pain to customer. That is final ultimate goal. Take, if you don't, so many things I have explained, but take this is a golden rule. You can't mess around with your customers. You will be kicked out. That's all, guys. I think I exceeded about 5-10 minutes, but I had to tell all these things, right? Thank you very much. If you have any more questions, we can discuss later.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nishant Kalwarachi. And ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to the fourth presentation of the day. Let me introduce this resource personnel also with her bio. So this is none other than Ms. Imesha Sanjeevani, the head of finance of Dutch Bank. Ms. Imesha Sanjeevani is the head of finance of Dutch Bank, Colombo branch since November 2021. Before joining Dutch Bank, she worked as the head of finance of Cargill's Bank Limited from 2012 to 2021, and also served as the accountant of Cargill Ceylon PLC from June 2008 to December 2011. She has covered her training period of 4 years at PricewaterhouseCoopers as an external auditor from 2004 to 2008, and she has been in the field of financial accounting and auditing for the last 18 years. She is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka and holds an international diploma in compliance from the Association of Compliance UK. She also holds a Bachelor of Science Accountancy Special Honours and Masters in Entrepreneurship from University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. So ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, this is the fourth presentation. Let us welcome Mrs. Imesha Sanjeevani with a round of applause to this presentation session.
Thank you for the nice introduction, my dear sirs and colleagues. Actually, it's a very happy occasion to come back to my department and deliver a speech after many years. I have been passed out from the accountancy department in 2006. So, thank you for selecting me as a guest speaker, but I know for sure now you have been listening to 3 eminent speakers for a long time. You may load with theories and practices. So I'm not going to take your lot of time. I'll give a recap. What everybody was talking within few minutes. You were listening about strategies, and I'm pretty sure in your strategic management lessons, now you know what is strategy, why we need strategy and all that. So do you believe that we need strategies? I want answers. Yes, why? 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 Because everybody else have vision, missions. So we have to have a direction. We had to have a method of achieving that. So surely we need strategies. Even though knowingly or unknowingly, even our personal lives, including our professional life, in our academic life and the business, we are using strategies at each and every given moment, not only the big corporates, but even person who's selling lottery tickets. They are also using strategies, isn't it? Then, but what should be if we have set a goal and we have set a strategy, but are we in a static environment? Are we? Oh, I can't hear you. Our environment is changing. Entire world is changing, including ourselves. So if our strategy is not changing according to the environment, it is like what? What you can see. This is something taught to me in our strategic management lesson at undergraduate here. What you can see, if anybody can tell. There's a say, if you cannot turn at the right bend, it is like a blind on a horse. Blind can ride a horse fast, that's right, as long as the path is straight. When you have to take a bend, you can see the road is here, taking a bend, but horse is going straight. So strategy should be there, but always we have to be smart enough to blend our strategies to the environment. Because crises are coming and going. We are talking about the pandemic right now, but if you take 100 years back, similar COVID, it's not COVID, but anyway, similar crisis was there, am I right? Yeah, Spanish fever. So even, again, if you go back to another 100 years back, also similar, another fever was there. So those things are coming and going. Even if we are talking about the developed economies, but as correctly said, they are also under crisis right now. All the developed economies are coming ahead with a crisis right now. So crises are coming and going. That's the nature. So we have to be there. We have to be with that. So what is the most important strategy in a crisis? Everybody was telling that. If somebody can give me the answer. What is the most important thing in a crisis? Oh, are you sleeping? Without taking time, I'll tell it, survival. Survival is the most important strategy at a crisis, isn't it? First, if you're like having health threat, first we have to live. To do whatever we want, first we have to live. Even for the corporate, if we are at economic crisis, first we have to survive, we have to be there to achieve our vision, mission. So as he correctly said, say that apparel industry targeting to be a best designer wear garment. So, but at the pandemic time, they were stitching what? PCR kits, mask and all that. Why? Is that a fashion garments? No, at the crisis, first they have to survive. To survive, to see all these opportunities, first and foremost, what is that? Everybody was telling around, But I'm telling what we need. What we need to survive. How to see the environment clearly. To do what and how to blend the strategy. What is the first and foremost? Stable mind. First, we had to have a stable mind to see what is happening around. So there's a say that I have got the quote from internet. So stability achieved by the mind. Therefore, stable mind is equal to stable person. So everybody of you personally, because crisis is not only for corporates or SMEs or the business. So when there's a crisis, every individual has to go through the crisis. So everybody has to survive. And each one of you, being a student or executives in an organization, if you're with a stable mind, then few stable people put together will create a stable organization, isn't it? So stable mind gives us patience, tolerance, positive thinking, clear vision, what is happening, to foresee what is happening in future, what is cause of this crisis, and mindfulness, we are living at the moment. Those things give us visionary thinking, how to come out of the crisis, and innovative ideas, creative solution. And as everybody was telling, every dark clouds have silver line. To see that silver line, not only to see, but grab that opportunity. So the most important thing is stable mind. If our leadership has stable mind, not only leadership, because leader alone can't do anything, but everybody else have to have stable mindset. Don't be panic at any given moment. Because if you're panic, you will lose the best part of it. Because each and everything have some kind, each threat we have to be smart enough to convert it to opportunity. So see, what is good, everything can be like coming up as a negative impressions for us. But try to just think out of the box and see what is good in it, what can we grab out of that situation. So these are some of the common things as a businesses we did all throughout the pandemic, crisis, and all that, because we cannot go and change environment. And as Kennedy sir correctly said, we don't have national plans. We don't know if we wait till the government or the politician do the rest of the plan for Sri Lanka, I don't think we can ever come out of this. But each individual of us has some responsibility for that. So we, rather than going and blaming them or blaming country or whatever, as individuals, as individual organization, if we try to do whatever we can do, I think it will be a better future for Sri Lanka than anything else. So cost management is something, it's inside our environment. That is something that we can control. Of course, that, as we correctly said, our inflation is more than 60%, food inflation is more than 80%. So how we are talking about the cost management. And do you think that cutting cost is the cost management? No, that is not. Because cutting cost is the last thing to do at organization. It means for the being accountants, you know, as long as you cut the cost for a short term, for next 2-3 years, 2-3 months, of course, your P&L will be flourishing. You can show the profit, but not in long term. Because you're spending with the reason. You have to spend to earn money. So that most of the people, when it comes to crisis, most of the small organization in the country does this. We are first going and cutting down what? What is the budget we are cutting down? Advertising, research and development, training. That is the last thing to cut down. Because if you're in a crisis, if you don't have the presence in the market, advertising presence in the market, how do you sell? So many competitors are there. But you can rethink of, if you have the TV commercial for 30 seconds, of course you can rethink to cut down it to 15 seconds. Or you can re-question you whether we are using the right channel. Are we at the peak hour in the TV commercial? Or we can use anything else, low-cost method like social marketing or whatever. So that is something to do, not to cut down. And research and development is the most important at this type of occasion, because we have to work out the alternatives. We have to rethink of the alternative materials, alternative way of doing things. So cost management, just by looking at that, it is not all about cutting down cost, but manage cost smartly. Then process re-engineering. That is also even, Nishant also was talking about that. With the given environment, we have to rethink the way we are doing things. Because even the crisis, in my opinion, given an opportunity for us to rethink of many of our business practices. And some of the peak times, most of the organization don't have time to rethink on their processes to see whether is that the right way of doing, most efficient way of doing. But when we have time, say that your revenue is down, you're not operating overtime right now, so use that time, use that extra resource, employees, create teams and give them opportunity to relook at their processes, re-engineer the processes in a most effective way. If you are producing 1 item per minute, why not 2 items per minute? So that is we may be just surviving with break even. That's all right in a crisis. But we can do a lot of our homework to have a real groom after the crisis in this moment. Then innovation. So everybody was talking about that. I'm not going to highlight. Anyway, that is also coming along with the process re-engineering. So if you have, say for example, if you are producing something, one particular item, you have to bring from out, you have to import. Now with the import restriction, you cannot import one element of your product. Are we going to stop the production? Are you going to stop the production? No, you have to find a substitute. So those are those type of innovation that is really healthy for the country. If we have substitute, why we are importing? Because we are facing, as he correctly showed the numbers, our imports are much higher than exports. So a long term, that is not a model that we can run. Selective investments and rescaling. That is also we have been talking, because at this hour sometimes we may be, it is not healthy to invest because our interest rate are crossing 30% right now. So to invest at a 30% loan, what the return that you have to expect from your investment? So investment, just investing, or if you have money, just investing and scaling up your business is not the right thing to do at this moment. But still, there are things we can think of investment, like stable energy, because we are at an energy crisis. So I don't know whether you all know, being a country, Switzerland being a country with so much of glaciers, there have so much of cable cars around the country, especially to travel top of the mountains. So what is the energy source that is operating on? If anybody to tell me. Solar power. Solar power. So are we ever thinking like country like Switzerland operating all their cable cars, more than 95% of cable cars on solar power? How much of solar power that what we have compared to that country? And what the winter season they are going through. Even if you are visiting the country at the summer, how much of mountains are like covered up with the snow? So can we imagine that? But still, that is the truth. So in that way, what we have done in our country. So those are the investment to proceed. Actually, if you have excess money, you can rethink of your investment back again. And if you are not into the industry like that, but still, in going forward, you can get more sustainable business in terms of that type of line, stable business. So even central bank has recently given out the note for the banks, if you are giving loans to consider for few industries like ecotourism, sustainable energy, export businesses, like that. Because in this hour, what Sri Lanka need mostly is to reduce imports for much as possible and bring foreign currency to the country as much as possible. So if this is the right time to invest. If you are investing, if you have excess fund, invest on such a line rather than scaling up your existing business. Sometimes, even though we don't like to scale down some of the businesses for the survival until we through the crisis, it's always advisable to scale down. That's why I'm telling rescaling, not only scale up, but scale down also option. At last, effective staff management, that is most important, as everybody of us was talking, because staff is more important. Everybody is trying to move out of the country. They are thinking that the rest of the world is much better than Sri Lanka, but we have to understand each and every country going through the crisis. This is one era. What if you are going to another country and that country also have crisis right now? Sometimes for the look, yes, your life can be much sophisticated and luxurious in other countries, but they also face their own problems. Because we know in my batch, more than 80% is not in Sri Lanka right now. But whoever in Sri Lanka right now, all in CFO levels or above that, doing very well. But still, the smart people who have gone abroad also doing well, not that I'm telling they are not doing well, but if you talk to them individually, they have their own challenges. It is not as we see from the outside. So, but as a trend, everybody is us trying to move right now. And you may have seen how many people taking new passports per day, how many people booking tickets per day. So in long run, we will suffer. But is it the solution is my question. So I'll give you one example for this effective staff management. At a pandemic, what is one of the most affected industry? Any answer? Tourism, hospitality industry. So 98 acres is one example I'm giving. I have no relationship with the company though. But they were a luxury boutique hotel, about 32 odd rooms are there. And they were survived all throughout very well. They had their expected number of room occupancy. What is the secret behind that? And they didn't let anybody of their staff to go out or move out. No, they didn't turn down any staff. And they paid the full salary also. What is the secret behind that? I'm just giving you one example to think of, because they were telling, I know one manager there, he was telling me, anyway, they are doing annual refurbishment of the hotel. They are building up new rooms, they are changing certain items in the hotel rooms and all that. So as soon as pandemic comes, in that lockdown 2 months, they have asked staff to stay at hotel. They have provided all utilities. And they have been telling, look, we had to, from the first day that is open for the operation, we had to be up and running again. So we had to prepare for it. And anyway, we are doing annual refurbishment. There are some construction we have planned. So the minimum wage was defined by the government at that time, if I'm not mistaken, is 16,000 something. Per day is 550. So they have offered them 1,500 daily salary. So given the labor work for the construction. So they have nicely done few new sites for the hotels during the pandemic. And when it's opened up, they were well prepared for it. And they were the first hotel in that Uva province to start operation first. Because whenever that health permissions was given, they are well prepared ahead to get the first permission. And 50% of the staff was allocated as long as it is open. But you may think with the after the lockdown even there was travel restrictions. And no tourists came for like 1 year. So who are the occupants is a question, right? What do you think? They have done the personal marketing for the rich people who have offered like 1 week packages and all for a bit of a reduced rate. And they have got good VIP type of people who can travel with the travel restrictions. And they had the 50% of occupancy. And meantime, 50% of staff was allocated to construction work. They have done new camping site, a new pool club, and few new rooms. And people also was very happy because of that new work, challenging work, and the teamwork came to them. Even the managers was used as supervisors for those projects. They were very happy to see because they were looked after very well. And that manager that I'm talking was HR manager there. He was specially telling that their turnover becomes so less because they have looked after the people like a family. That is first and foremost. Our staff is very important. And anyway, with this crisis, each staff member, each one of us, even being a person who's earning million salary to 50,000 salary, have issues right now because they cannot live with their normal lifestyle because inflation is such. So that is the recap. I'm not taking much of your time. So if anything, you can raise with me at the panel discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Imesha Sanjeevani. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the final presentation of the day. So, we are moving towards the most awaited moment, which is the panel discussion. But before that, ladies and gentlemen, let us witness the main sponsor video. Of course, the main sponsor of today's event was ACCA. So, let us give them the sponsor credits and move back to the day's program.
The future moves faster than it used to. The speed of innovation in the digital age puts businesses at risk of falling behind. But it's these challenges that excite ACCA and its members. For us, the future means opportunity. We're the home of future-ready talent, creating trusted finance professionals to safeguard and future-proof your business. In a fast-moving world, our leading research, qualifications, training, and recruitment tools can give your organization a competitive edge. But what does future-proofing look like? How does working with ACCA benefit your business? The letters ACCA represent the world's leading finance qualification. They're letters you can trust. Our competency framework enables businesses to better understand the financial opportunities and challenges of their sector. Our CPD keeps your finance professionals at the forefront of knowledge, so you'll always be ahead of the curve. Find the future-ready talent you need to drive your business forward. With the world's largest specialist finance and accountancy job board, over 500,000 ACCA professionals and students ready to help expand your business. Powered by our unique global network, our cutting-edge research program provides vital insight to make the right calls. We're ready for tomorrow to help businesses succeed and improve systems, to change lives and safeguard environments, to be a force for good. ACCA is ready for the future. Are you?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we are moving on to the panel discussion. So before requesting and inviting the speakers of the day to come on to stage, let us invite the moderator of the day, the conductor of the day of today's strategic forum, Dr. Chamara Bandara, to come on to stage. While he comes, let me, ladies and gentlemen, read out his profile to you. So he is a chartered accountant of England and Wales and Sri Lanka. Mr. Chamara is the founder of SCB Corporate and Corporate Doctors Private Limited and a co-founder of Berry Technology Private Limited. He is a country representative of Faster Capital, a global business incubator, and as a chartered accountant, his experiences helped many SMEs to become successful businesses. He is an expert in entrepreneurship, business success and failure, which is his area of PhD. So ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to the conductor, the moderator of the Strategic Forum, Dr. Chamara Bandara. And while arranging the technical arrangements and preparations, let me also invite the four speakers of the day. First of all, Mr. Cholier De Silva, the CFO of Haley's Group, who was also a speaker of the day. Mr. Cholier, this invitation goes to you to come on to stage to take part in the panel discussion. And I would also like to invite Mr. Chamath Sirivardhana, the Senior Manager of KPMG in the Cayman Island, who was also the speaker of the day, to come on to stage to begin with the start of the panel discussion. And let me also, ladies and gentlemen, invite Mr. Nishant Kaluarachi, the Chief Financial Officer of Hydramani Industries. And finally, I would also like to invite Ms. Imesha Sanjeevani, the Head of Finance of Dutch Bank, to come on to stage as we are going to start the Strategic Forum, the panel discussion titled Winning Strategies for Getting Ahead of the Crisis. Of course, this will be an insightful session, and I guess and I believe you all have some questions to ask our panelists at the end of this panel discussion as well. So, Dr. Chamara Bandara, over to you.
Lots of energetic people in this hall, and the session is very particular, and also it's relevant and timely. Not because of anything else. Right now we see that is a crisis, that the crisis we are facing, those are well defined. I think we have less time. We had to have a little more discussion with the topic. I think these eminent speakers, they have done a good job. I don't think that I have much to talk about, but nevertheless, as a protocol, we must continue this panel discussion. Now, when I entered into the university, it was so energetic for me. Very neat and clean, nice, beautiful waves, and trees all about, and brisk walkings of the people. I came here sometimes back to meet Professor Harendra, who is my PhD colleague. Right now, bit of a different. I said, wow, It's a nice place. You gave me some energy in the morning. Thank you very much for that. Maybe the leadership is there. All professors and students and others here, wherever I go, I carry a message before I forget it. I don't think I'll ever forget that part. So that is about the entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs. We were groomed to become managers, qualified people. Even for me, my father was expecting me to be a medical doctor. Finally, I became a corporate doctor. Right? Likewise, every parent and our culture, push us to be, take good score and marks through exams and be a good manager, high position. Nothing wrong with it. I want to take it a little beyond that. That is entrepreneurship. Everything you get in the whole, even my watch, this mics, phone, this, whatever you name it, all entrepreneurs' creation, brought to us by them. Pfizer, Moderna vaccine, anything you name, that is entrepreneurship. So therefore, remember one thing, young people here, right? This entrepreneurship is the base, the foundation for economic development. We are suffering highly, heavy, severe forex issues. We don't have income, forex income. Why? There are problems that we have to address. We can become blameologists. That we know easily we can do it. As we all young people still we are, we can change ourselves, our family, our society. Remember that we can do definitely. Having said that, thank you very much for the invitation. It's very lovely for me to share my knowledge experience with this eminent panel. Thank for the university and the particular organizing committee. Now, let's move on to the subject. Now, this strategy or strategies, strategic approach, it's a wonderful word I have heard the recent past. We have heard it a lot, but the usefulness of the word, the theory what we learn to get through our exam, strategic management, strategic approach. Now we have to apply practically to face the crisis. Crisis that gentlemen define is dangerous, difficult. If that is a danger ahead, it's just a difficulties ahead. Right now we are facing, our leadership is the forefront. That is a personality. The personality these are the business leaders. Top of that, there are a board of directors. Top of that, entrepreneurs are there. So leadership is flowing down to the business leaders like this. They take the right, difficult path. Imagine the effort these gentlemen took to run their business with difficult time. Unimaginable. Right? So passionate about this leadership. That's the reason you have invited these people. They are wonderful and remarkable. Without taking much time, now even for us, we took decision in our firm, our practice, how to make difficult times people use a cloud-based technology. Right? They say, no, we can't run it, or everything is locked down. Come on. That's not the world. Right? There are cloud servers. We got them used to use a cloud service. Is this webcasting or not? If you started doing the webcasting, that because the lockdown, continue with that one. Don't ever stop. What we got it from the crisis, we must definitely continue. That also number one. Now, out of all the strategy discussion, when I got the invitation with the topic, the winning strategies, wow, lovely. Normally, winning strategies we use to compete each other. Much better a competitive positioning, strategic positioning, winning strategies. Right now, we use it for this crisis management. So when it comes to one study, it has been done by McKinsey and Company with top executive like them, 300 easy sample respondent, out of which 42% in average said that this crisis, not Sri Lankan crisis, what is that pandemic, affected their business negatively, weakened their strategic position. But only 42%. Beyond that, they said, some said, they energized, strengthened their business and not affected. But I'm going to say, the strategies are there, Sometimes the leadership is not there, the organization is weakened. But the pure solid leadership is there, that company is strengthened. Winner. Having said that, let me move to the speakers now. Now I'll start with Cholia. Now Haley's, that's a well-known company. We know about that one by name. So now, with the profession of our accounting and finance, how much the budgeting and financial planning really look at our business plan help you to manage your organization carefully during this crisis? Cholia?
Thank you, Doctor. Now, yes, you have to have budgets that gives you direction. But what happens is, normally, like people, organizations are also becoming, they go to a comfort zone, right? So when you generally do budgets, you try to have a percentage increase, that type of a budget. So, yes, you have to have a budget, but in a crisis, you have to be agile. If you are not agile, if the organization is not agile, you can't survive. So basically, we talked about, I think everybody talked about it. In a crisis, you have to survive, and if you do well, you will thrive. So what happens is, these budgets, although they give you some guidelines, it has to be dynamic. So if you are agile, the forecast has to be dynamic, and you need to look beyond this brick wall. I call it a brick wall because budgets are generally done for a period, either January to December or April to March. So we always think, okay, we want to achieve this amount during this period. And if you achieve that you are happy. But you have to be dynamic so that you have to look beyond this brick wall and try to deliver maybe next week, next month, next quarter. So it has to be rolling budget. It can't be a fixed budget. So you have to, with your strategies coming in, with crisis, of course crisis opens up your thinking and you think about new strategies, and you have to keep rolling your forecast. So dynamic forecasting is the way forward rather than having a fixed budget.
And when it comes to this way now, the crisis is happening. Now we have economic and finance crisis here. Maybe finance crisis came, then economic, but it's falling. So no need to plan it the next month. Rather, focus in the next 12 months. Is it that immediate need of us when it comes to running business, Cholia?
Yeah, now look at your budgets you have done. Now you would have prepared your budgets looking at the interest rate of, let's say, 10-12%, right, because that was what was prevailed at the time of budgeting. But now, if you look at your interest cost is going to be remaining at 12%, you are hugely mistaken. You are not going to achieve that. So what I am saying is you need to get adjusted to that.
What I'm saying now, for example, now as your organization, that's fine. But there are related organizations, customers, suppliers, they also got affected. We have to look after them as well. And the receiving money from them also getting delayed. And they have problem also. Then that affects your organization. Maybe anyone is your managing business, you can understand the one organization isn't affected, it affects many. Likewise, don't you think some kind of a strategies that you have to bring to adjust even according to the environment of your, rather than the usual way?
Yeah, that's the thing. So you need to change your path. You need to change your path and take a different. Now we have, for example, we have scrapped a lot of our investment plans.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So because the environment has changed now, and you need to get adapted to the environment. So you need to sometime maybe outsource. And do various things.
Cost reduction, the measures
exactly.
to be bringing. Okay,
yeah.
Fine. Thank you, Cholia. Let me go to Chamat. Chamat, wonderful session. I think a KPMG point of view.
Thank you.
And it's not common for everyone. Maybe when it comes to practice, few people are practicing. And when it comes to practice, also there are 4 or 5 very popular firms. It's in the world, international firm. You are there in one KPMG. As a global entity, and giving leadership consultancy, advisory for SMEs and big companies and all about. How did you manage your firm during that lockdown? crisis, audit is a necessary, assurance service is was needed. Because you have faced the crisis more than those services. How did you manage?
So actually, thank you, doctor. So I have to disclose the fact that I was not at KPMG during the crisis, but of course, auditing and financial reporting goes side by side, and of course I can tell you. So actually, we normally think this pandemic a lot of bad side, but what I want to tell you is I see two good things just happen in Sri Lankan context just because of the crisis. The first one is work from home. We never thought that we can work from home, and the other one is virtual learning. So I don't know, at that time I was at university, we are getting marks for attendance. And I am losing those marks. Ajwat sir knows I am losing those marks most of the time. But those days I have thought of why can't we go for that virtual learning? So we have not used to that. So likewise, the world is changed. So what I want to tell you is when it's come to auditing also, so my title not goes as KPMG Sri Lanka, it goes as KPMG Cayman Islands. And you might think why this guy is doing Sri Lanka if it is working for Cayman Islands. That is the future. That is the future.
Correct.
So you don't believe, yesterday I had a discussion with a client based in China. And let's say Monday, again a discussion, a client based in British Virgin Islands. So how can it possible if the pandemic is not more there? So earlier it was like, when it's come to auditing, our perception is like mainly the auditor comes to the company and they go here and there investigating paperwork, and that is how the auditing is traditionally positioned as.
Correct.
But now the things have completely different.
changed.
Even we are in Sri Lanka, we have the opportunity to conduct the audit because clients don't want us to visit them.
Correct.
So we can do it virtually. So that is the biggest change, not even KPMG, EY, and other PwC also, because they are the big firms operating in Sri Lanka, they also into this concept. This is called globally delivery centers. We do audits for global clients and we are bringing dollars. So Sri Lanka at the moment we are having a crisis. The main crisis is the dollar crisis. So I think not even in auditing, I have seen some other practices as well, the similar thing is going to happen. And one more thing, when it's called a profession, basically auditor has faced a lot of troubles as same as the financial accountants. What I am telling, because we never had an accounting standard which is addressing the accounting and financial reporting in pandemic. The only we are having IAS 29, which is hyperinflationary economies. Other than that, we never know when the moratorium was there. I think she knows the banking and finance industry is like moratorium, how to adjust that moratorium in the financial statement. Even IFRS 9, nowhere it is perfectly mentioned. We have faced a lot of challenges. When the lockdown is there, how to report this, and some going concern assessment requirement comes. LKS 1, of course, the going concern is there, but we just put it as a formality. But they said you put disclosures, financial management disclosures, put disclosures and sensitivity and everything we had to brought up. And we never had that experience as accountant. Maybe in our syllabus also, curriculum also, in universities, we have never learned those things. But that was the biggest challenge. When the accountants are busy with that, auditor is double busy. Why? He has to ensure when he forming his opinion whether these guys has reported correctly and whether they have done it. Because all the internal control system mainly targeting on physical operations. When there is a virtual operation, virtual payment transfers and everything, all the internal control systems has to change. All audit committee charters and everything focusing on manual type of controls. But everything has changed. Right? So that was the biggest challenge I believe the auditors had to address and give a clean opinion in the finance statement addressing those facts, as well as we have some good opportunities in terms of...
Of course,
yeah.
Chamat, what he said, one thing is very important for everyone. Maybe brain drain, maybe people might work somewhere else. That is a global citizen. He's a global citizen. He's a Cayman Island, but he can work from now Sri Lanka. Work from anywhere in the world. That is possible, highly possible. When it comes to audit industry, assurance service, we use the technology much. We reduce our cost substantially when it comes to those days before the pandemic. So therefore, I think Chamat said that's very important. How do you manage? That's a technology. What we started, we must continue. And there are things to be changed. We should do that one as well when it comes to our practice and the assurance service. Yep, let me get back to you. and your presentation, and also the difficulties I think you guys went through. It's unbelievable, right? So we know that most of the companies like you bring foreign currencies, including Haley's, and you are very lab intensive, right? Lab intensive. To stitch many things, you have, people, right? So now people is the main concern of the organization, and now they're stressed now. The future is not sure, the uncertain. Now, how are you going to manage these people within this crisis to achieve your targets ahead? Yes, to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Chamara. So very interesting question. Like we have 12,000 people, and their lives are under our arms, and how we are going to, safeguard their lives. Of course, we have to make sure they are being duly paid. Not only that, like, inflation is rocketed. I saw Mr. Chomley's presentation also. They have been looked after people. So what we have done actually, been your salaries, perks, and all are being, duly paid. Not only that, we have to, had to provide some more, benefits to them, especially in the time of hyperinflationary situation. A lot of our workers been given concessionary food derivation tax throughout the year. That is one of the major thing, and make sure whether their disposable income is, remain, as it was before before this crisis. That is one of the aspects they have been, treated. And other important aspect is their meals. So normally in apparel, like every day, 12,000 people has to be served meals. Some are at, concessionary rate, some are actually free of charge. So that meal has to, like HR and admin, compliance guy were, devised there, they were advised, you have to look at the meal and nutrition components. Make sure that the labor being provided, the meal with a proper nutrition package. Your lunch, your breakfast has to be with sort of a nutrition so that you have energy. Following day you will come to the work, you have to energy. First, give the concessionary food package to look after your family, and the energy content you are going to your workers, because that will directly impact your productivity, end of the day. Productivity plus worker satisfaction. Then, third important aspect we have looked at is the education of their children, because if you send your children to tuitions, whatsoever, the education is very costly now. So we have started a separate package called Hydramani Gurugedara, where the online platforms, that is online platform where your students, whoever the workers, your student can, have that online knowledge package. So that has been, broadcasted in YouTube, and that video instrument is provided to them, and they have been provided sufficient data and all. So the education aspect also been taken care of, so that, mothers and fathers don't want to be bothered on their children's education. And plus, we have started another brilliant concept called Hydramani Vaga Sangrame. That actually has, we start.
Honestly, the leadership should come from somewhere else.
It actually coming from the leadership, because that idea generated through the leadership, and that has cascaded down from leader to the down level. So I explain bit of the Vaga Sangrame that actually has 3 pillars. We started right beginning of the crisis, because I told next 3-4 months we know in advance we know what is going to happen, and we started that definitely there will be a exchange rate depression will come and inflation will come. So last year somewhere around March we started the program called Vaga Sangrame that has 3 pillars. One is Givatu Vaga Sangrame. All these workers being provided plants. Whoever has space, they have been given plants, they have been educated. Then there was a competition as well. We will select the big winner, and they will be awarded sufficiently, rewarded. And that is a Givatu Vaga Sangrame. Plus, we have enough, lands and all in our factories. So we started another pillar called Mega Vaga Sangrame. That is, you must bigger level, you just cultivate. Say, we have a factory in Hatton. That climate is very suitable for carrot, cabbage and all, they cultivate that. And we have another factory in Mullatiu that's suitable for different crops, they cultivate that. That's mega level. And collect all these, harvest and distribute among workers, still not free of charge, because in Sri Lanka, I'm a bit of concern of giving everything out free. We will give at very concession level so that people feel that value. And third pillar is Prajavaga Sangrame, that is, we have linked with nearby schools and we are cultivating with them. So that will give a, sort of a mental boost to them, and they are prepared for this crisis. Otherwise, we don't have dollars, we don't have money, we don't have anything to invest. Only thing, we have soil, we can plant and we can live at least. This soil is so fertile. So with all these concepts, we looked after the people. I think I have, addressed your question in this area.
It's perfectly addressed the question. And the people's management, they went beyond the way that we thought even. They went up to the, kind of how to face a food crisis. He said that they are thinking ahead, few months ahead. So then they might think of there could be a food crisis, how to face the food crisis. When you are planning out those things and implement it with the team employees, they are very secure, right? They never leave you. The bond is so much, right? That's how you retain people, nothing wrong with it, right? So this organization mean always not only one person, owned by many, legally maybe owned by few people, but owned by many employees, suppliers, directors, owners, so and so forth people. The leadership that Hydra Money is giving to those employees, it's invaluable. So we can apply also in our organization. We use the different kind of strategies in our organization, but this is little beyond that I thought wonderful. And let it come to you. But this is a banking question, but related. The banking sector, when it comes to COVID, they got penalized with various things from the government, like the moratorium and don't pay loans and this and that. Bank should also be survived in the sense their expenses, so many other things to pay off, right? So that with those difficult situations and the problems and regulations also, how do you, within those, how do you add value to your customers? Even especially what I mean is that entrepreneurs like SMEs and various other people, how do you add value to those through these difficulties?
Good question. Actually, I would say rather than any other industry, financial industry at the country is at a risk, especially local banks. But still, if our customers collapse, then that is the end of entire financial industry. So we have to, because we have given loans, somehow or to other, we have to take the money back from the customers. For the taking back the money, they have to first survive. So even though at a loss, even moratorium is not a good thing for the bank perspective, because we are losing actually. You know what is the effective impact of the moratorium to the financials. So, but still, bank is taken bite the bullet and wait. And we are restructuring loans. That is the main service that right now what I see from the local banks and doing. They are, even right now also there's another moratorium going on. From 2019 to today, one after the other, there was so much of moratorium coming up. So actually, in my say, industry doesn't know what is their real NPA. Because one after the other, we are running on moratorium. We are recognizing interest sometimes. Those are not received actually as yet. So it's time to come. We can see the real impact. But if we haven't given that to the customer also, because this is a really a bad time, but still, even with the moratorium, now we are charging 25% to 35% range of interest, especially from SMEs. But still, we have restructured the loan and given plans according to the way that they can repay. But still, it's not easy for the customers also. And from other side, banks have taken few steps to secure themselves also. Earlier, if you may know that from even for a personal loan, from the total income, bank used to give about 60% of your income as loan repayment. But now it is come down to about 25%, and high income earners, they are still considering about 40%. Because of the inflation, they know that nobody can pay about 60% of your income as the installments. Same to the companies also. So according to their cash flows, we have reschedule their loans accordingly, because we also have to up and running the portfolios. We have to collect some income, otherwise we cannot run the banks because most of the people who have money, there are places with high liquidity and have money, big corporates and all that. Now everybody tend to deposit their excess money in where? The foreign banks, because they don't trust the local banks right now. So the local banks are running at a liquidity crisis actually. So still I would say the banking industry do best that they can do, because first they also have to survive still there, because it's a chain. If one financial institute fail, that entire industry collapse. And if other side, if the majority of one industry or the set of customer fail also, the bank getting badly affected.
Two sides.
Yes, so the bank is can't take their own view or as a one bank. So we have to think of customers as well as all the industry players, because nobody wants any other bank to come down also.
Thank you, Mesha. It's a wonderful inputs. Now, the bank industry is the most critical part in the economy of, especially in Sri Lanka, because of the crisis. And she said that bank is that connected with many people, and will be affected by others' performance. And the time permission is much, not that much, already given the limit. I think we are going to already exceed it. I'm going to conclude it. And with my narrative, I think that will be over. And it's a wonderful session. Let me thank the panelists and your tremendous work for your organization, employees, and also beyond that for their families, even the society. Continue. We wish that will continue even future. Now, we as audience, and what we should take from this one. If you don't have your organization, might you have working for a place that you can influence your team, your management, your directors. Try to influence them, showcase them, right? So you can negotiate, you can influence, nothing impossible. That's always a thing. That you have to find the way that you have to change your organization. And as an individual, we have to face, these financial difficulties and the crisis. We must be able to face that one. I'm really positive and energetic. Already set my hours, all, strategies already placed to face future. Tricks, likewise, we can do. In case if you want to restructure your organization with the crisis, look at the list given his presentation, the last. It's given all practical points in that. It's very clearly given. Therefore, I finalize, when it comes to the crisis like this, you relook at your business. Sometimes restructuring is needed. Right? In that, entering new markets is important. Adjusting your marketing and sales approach is required. Targeting new customers. Redesign all processes. Apply new things. And forming new partnership with locally and internationally. Finding new ways to improve your offering for customers. Those are critical. And individually, remember one thing. You have to be a strategic thinker. To be a strategic thinker, we need to change. So therefore, right, we shouldn't be a creature of habit. Shouldn't be a creature of habit. Right? Don't do things what we were doing before. Change it. If you're watching one channel, change that channel, watch something else. Only watch local channels, watch international channels. Change ourselves, yourself. We can see a better future. As I said with this word, we are global citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Dr. Chamara Bandara, thank you very much for moderating the Strategic Forum for the 2022. And we thank all the speakers as well. So we have a token of appreciation to our resource personals of the day. To give away this token of appreciation, I would like to invite three main pillars, I would say pillars of strength behind the Strategic Forum 2022. I would like to invite the Senior Professor, Kennedy Gunawardena, the Head of Department of Accounting of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. And together with him, I would also like to invite Professor Roshan Ajwad and also Professor Rukmal Veerasinghe on stage to deliver the tokens of appreciation. Sorry, the speakers, you will have to come again to a stage. Yes, I will call you on stage, but let us first have our three pillars of strength on stage to deliver the tokens of appreciation. Okay, so I consider it my privilege in inviting the moderator of today's strategic forum first. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to the moderator of the strategic forum for year 2022, Dr. Chamara Bandara. Of course, thank you very much, sir, for accepting the invitation. And this is the moment where you get your token of appreciation. As you can see, it's a sustainable token of appreciation, I would say. Thank you very much. And yes, we appreciate your presence with us today. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Cholia De Silva, the CFO of Haley's Groups, to come on stage. Thank you very much for accepting the invitation once again and for sharing your valuable insights and ideas with the audience today. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. This is Mr. Cholia De Silva receiving his token of appreciation. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Chamath Siriwardena, the Senior Manager of KPMG in the Cayman Island, to come on stage and get your token of appreciation. Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together to this resource personnel as well, a proud product of the Department of Accounting of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let us now invite Mr. Nishant Kaluarachi, the Chief Financial Officer of Hydramani Industries, to come on stage and collect the token of appreciation. And once again, thank you for accepting the invitation and sharing your thoughts with the young audience here today. And the final token of appreciation to Ms. Imesha Sanjeevani, the Head of Finance of Dutch Bank. Of course, another proud product of the Department of Accounting of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. This invitation goes to you to collect the token of appreciation. It's a new idea, a memory, of course, a sustainable memory from the resource person. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us also give a round of applause to Professor Kennedy Gunawardena, Professor Roshan Ajwat, and Professor Rukmal Veerasinghe for joining with us for this giving away of tokens of appreciation. And ladies and gentlemen, let us, before conclusion of today's program, let us also give sponsor credits to our sponsors, access and all our sponsors before the conclusion of the program.
We have, over the years, amassed a wealth of resources and capabilities. But our greatest and most dependable resource is not mechanical, or technological, or financial. Our main resource is people. The people of access. The people of Sri Lanka. Access. Entrepreneurs at the heart of nation building.
So that was a brief about those who sponsored today's event. And ladies and gentlemen, before moving on to the conclusion, we have one more element, that is giving our due recognition to our lecture panel of the Department of Accounting as well. So as we just saw, we have a nice souvenir, a nice and sustainable souvenir. So this will also be given to our beloved lecturers by the students of the Master of Professional Accounting degree program of University of Sri Jayawardenepura. So they are ready to give away. So you need the lecturers to come on stage, right? Okay, so we'll start with our head of Department of Accounting, Senior Professor Kennedy Gunawardena. This token of appreciation is to you from your beloved lecturers. So we'll get this token of appreciation from your students, so this invitation goes to you, sir. We'll give a round of applause to Senior Professor Kennedy Gunawardena, the Head of Department of Accounting of University of Sri Jayawardenepura. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, then we will also love to invite Professor Roshan Ajwat, the coordinator of Master of Professional Accounting program, to receive his token of appreciation. And yes, we'll give a round of applause to him as well when he receives this sustainable souvenir from his students. And finally, we do also have this token of appreciation to Professor Rukmal Veerasinghe, Senior Lecturer of Department of Entrepreneurship of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. This is the moment that he is receiving his memorable gift from his beloved students. Thank you very much. And to mark the official end, the conclusion of the Strategic Forum 2022, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite Ms. Nimali Ekanaika to give away the vote of thanks.
Good morning, Honorable Speaker, Moderator, respected lecturers, my dear friends. So, time has come to conclude this interesting event. Before conclude this event, our duty to thank all supported us to conduct this event successfully. First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our eminent speaker, Mr. Choliyada Silla, Group CFO, Hales PLC, Mr. Chamath Siriwardana, Senior Manager, KPMG, Mr. Nishanta Kaluarati, CFO, Hydramani Group, Ms. Imesha Sanjeevani, Head of Finance, Dutch Bank. Your valuable presence and thoughts are inspiration to us and it facilitates to us gain practical knowledge on what strategies are to be adopted during this crisis period. As one of the best moderators of this field, I sincere thank to Dr. Chamara Bandara for your valuable presence and conducting the panel discussion. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Rukmal Veerasinghe, the inspirational leader of this forum, Professor Kennedy Gunawardana, Head of Accounting of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Professor Roshan Ajwad, Coordinator of our program, for your guidance and generous support on this forum. Your valuable presence also enlightened us. Without expecting nothing, some companies and institutions are supported, conduct it successfully. I thank all sponsors who gave generous support to conduct this event successfully. I also express my gratitude to Ms. Kallahari and all other non-academic staff for their contribution received to conduct this event successfully. I also thank Ms. Nipuni Karunanta for your interesting comparing. I thank all undergraduate students and other distinguished invited for your valuable presence. Hope you have gained knowledge how practically that strategies are to be adopted during this crisis period. At last but not least, I thank all my friends of the batch. As a team, we organized this event. Without your support, this would not be a success. Once again, I sincerely thank your time, effort, and dedication in making this event successfully. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nimali Ekanaika, and the organizing committee just wanted to make the reminder that, yes, we symbolically gave the 3 plants to the beloved lecturers, including the head of Department of Accounting, and we will be giving these souvenirs to all the lecturers of the department in the hours to come as well. So with that note, ladies and gentlemen, the Strategic Forum 2022 upon the theme, Winning Strategies for Getting Ahead of the Crisis, organized by the Master of Professional Accounting degree program of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, comes to a conclusion. Yes, we were talking about winning strategies, and I'm sure we together as one nation, one country will be able to come out of these crisis situations in near future if we implement these winning strategies in the right way. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time, for your commitments to attend this program, especially the resource personals, the head of Department of Accounting, as well as all the graduates and undergraduates over here. Thank you very much. And with the bright hope of a brighter tomorrow, let us conclude this session singing the national anthem of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka together as one.
Sri Lanka Mata, Apa Sri Lanka, Namo, 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 Namo Mata. Sundara Siri Varini, Surani Ati Sobhamana Lanka. Vanya Vanaya Linkamal Palaguru Miri Jaya Bhumi Aramya. Apahata Sapa Siri Seta Sadhana, Jivana Mata. Iligano Mene Apavakti Puja, Namo Namo Mata. Apa Sri Lanka, Namo 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 Mata. Ubave Apa Vidya, Ubamaya Apa Satya, Ubave Apa Shakti, Apa Hada Tula Bhakti, Uba Apa Aroge, Apa Ge Anuprane, Apa Jivanade, Apa Mukti Ubave, Nava Jivana Nemine, Nitina Apa Kubudu Karang Mata. Kaya Vira Vada Vamina Ragana Yanu Vena Jaya Bhumikara. Ekamava Kagidaru Kalabavina, Yamu Yamu Vinopama. Devavada Samaveda Gurarada, Namo Namo Mata. Apa Sri